The trip was going as planned when just before the ship was due to dock in Colombo, Sri Lanka, Hanjin went bust.
Yeah.
The company had become the first major victim of crisis in global shipping, which has seen profits collapse.
Look at the light!
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. There's lots and lots to talk about. And it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Mike, as well. I'm starting to, get a little bit bored of the old Sam Allardyce stuff and all that. I mean, look,
it's yesterday's news now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not knocking the investigation the Telegraph have done. It'll pan out over a few days, I think. But we're getting to bits and pieces now, rather than a major, powerful story.
Yeah.
And if you start, examining and poring over every crumb that now comes out, then you're looking at, what people might try to describe as a wholesale, legacy of corruption in football. It's not like that at all. It's the odd case here and there. The main issue is Sam Allardyce. Like a lot of people, I'm a bit mystified as to why the LMA, the League Managers Association, are now apparently being asked to look at Sam Allardyce's validity as a member of their organisation.
I mean, would that be something to do with him slagging off Roy Hodgson?
Well, it could be. I'll tell you who I saw today. Do you remember Mr. Bernstein, the former chairman of the FA who appointed Roy Hodgson?
Yeah.
Now, he did an interview on a news programme today, not a sports programme. Yeah. It was on a mainline news programme. Uh-huh. And he's a very patrician man. Whatever you say about Mr. Bernstein, whether you think he was...
Was he himself not caught out in some kind of a sting? Do you remember when he was sitting at lunch with some girl? Was he not caught out by the Mail on Sunday years and years ago?
I'm not aware of the details of that. I mean, he used to be chairman of Manchester City. And
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
And he had a few...
but he's certainly been around...
difficult days there.
But he's been around when there's been a few of these stings going on.
Well, as I say, I'm not aware of that. But anyway, the point is, they go to his home, his beautiful home and all that, and he's, a successful businessman, he speaks beautifully. And he was so condemnatory of Allardyce. And you can see it, because the thing is that the reason that Roy Hodgson was appointed is because he's almost a mirror image of Mr. Bernstein when Mr. Bernstein was the chairman of the FA, OK?
Right.
So everybody in the world wanted Harry Redknapp to be the England manager, particularly as he'd been cleared of falsified tax avoidance allegations, OK?
Yeah, him and his dog.
Him and his dog, and he walked out of Southern Crown Court, and everybody thought that's the new England manager coming out there now. He's as clean as driven snow and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Bernstein had other ideas.
He thought otherwise, obviously.
He appointed Roy Hodgson. So when he was asked today about what do you think of the behaviour of Sam Allardyce, he said, I thought it was disgusting. Yeah. Were the FA right to sack him? Yeah. Of course they were. Yeah. And what do you think about him getting a possible £1 million payoff? Outrageous. Yeah. There should be no payoff for people who break the rules. And I would advise the financial committee at the Football Association, when they examine this issue, to make sure
the other issue that people have raised as well over the last couple of days is what about the compensation paid by the FA to Sunderland to release Sam Allardyce to have the job?
Absolutely. But getting back to Mr. Bernstein, he absolutely tore into Allardyce. Has been, the famous expression, we don't want his sort round here. He would have thought that very much about Sam Allardyce.
Well, this was kind of what I was trying to say the other night about the way that the FA might have looked into his background, into some of the things that he's done before, some of the companies that he's owned. Yeah. There was a whole company's house stuff leaked today about, various companies that Sam Allardyce has been involved in.
You're absolutely right.
And surely they could have checked that out.
Yeah, they could have checked it out. Just to finish your question about, do you think that the LMA might have an issue with Sam Allardyce because of what he said? He was asked, what do you think about Sam Allardyce's comments about Roy Hodgson? Yeah. And Mr. Bernstein, of course, said Roy Hodgson is the most honourable man in football. He said before we appointed him, we looked at his track record, and for 50 years there was not a stain on his name. So he's actually going down the route you were going down the other night.
Absolutely.
Didn't they do a bit more research into the background of Sam Allardyce? And then he said, for a man like Sam Allardyce to start making jokes and being disrespectful to Roy Hodgson is a disgusting affair.
It's certainly not the sort of thing you would expect, And also there's word as well coming out of the FA that they're looking into the possibility of making some kind of charge against Allardyce as well.
Yes.
Which doesn't quite tally with paying him off to the tune of £1 million.
Well, I think it's utterly ridiculous, to be honest. I mean...
But they could end up, if they do charge him with something, that could affect his return to the game in this country.
Yes, I suppose it could. But I mean, that's all a bit sort of maybe and all that. I do think it's... I totally agree with Mr. Bernstein. The idea of giving Sam Allardyce £1 million now in compensation. I mean, look, when somebody resigns, Why do they take any money with you? You resign. You say, I'm giving up the job that you offered me. Thank you very much indeed.
This is where the lawyers start to get involved, and they start talking about things like mutual consent, and I will resign with mutual consent, and you won't have to fire me, and I won't say anything, but you'll have to give me some money. Yeah. That's the grubby bit, the way that it ends, really.
If you look at the background to Sam Allardyce, it's very, very interesting, actually, because as a player, he was a journeyman, and even he'd admit that. Yeah. So he actually never earned more than about, believe it or not, £300 or £400 a week as a player. Yeah. Because it came before the era of great salaries. First sort of, great salaries. I remember Duncan Ferguson taunting a defender by saying to him in the penalty area before a corner, how much do you get a week, son? Because I get $7,000. Yeah. That was a huge salary. Yeah. And that was in 1993, something like that.
Right, so quite relatively recently.
Yeah, but relatively recently. Ago, Well, Sam Allardyce had retired by then. He was already a manager in Ireland or
And according to some stuff I read today, he went through various things where he made investments in pubs and he nearly lost his house. And it's quite a checkered financial history.
This is absolutely right. And actually, I'm coming around a bit to your way the other night when you said, why didn't they do due diligence on him?
That's good.
No, I'm giving you I'm giving you about 5% credit.
Thank you.
In fact, if they'd gone to Company's house, they'd have found out that he was director of 19 different companies.
Some of which have been put into liquidation.
Absolutely.
Some of which have paid taxes and some of which haven't.
Yes.
Some of which involve his involvement in companies with several England players, which seems very odd to me.
Well, this is the line I'm amazed nobody has picked up. That he had an interest in a property company which included a boutique hotel.
In Newcastle, right?
Yeah, and amongst the investors were Wayne Rooney and Joe Hart.
Exactly.
So, I mean... The situation you've got here...
That's what I was saying about the appearance of impropriety. There may be nothing wrong with that. It may be completely above board. There may be no FA rule against it. But surely it doesn't make any sense for a manager of a team to be in business with some of the players he's going to pick.
Supposing he didn't pick Wayne Rooney, and Wayne Rooney was the sort of chap, and I don't think Wayne Rooney is, by the way, to say, OK, so you don't want to pull me? That's fine. I'm pulling out of the hotel. Yeah. So, you'll have to make up the $300,000, which is my share.
Sure.
I mean,
that's the thing. There is, as they call it, a potential conflict of interest.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I'm glad that you've seen reason on this one.
No, I haven't seen reason. I'm saying I'm giving you 5% credit for the...
No, I'll take 5%. Yeah, I'll take 5%.
Because I think if you look at the social commentary on our show from last night...
Social media.
Most people thought you'd lost it in the first 15 minutes
Not correct, no. So, I would say about 50% of people thought I'd lost it. And usually they're the people that always support you in any event, no matter what you say.
Yeah,
but I don't want to talk about Allardyce Gate anymore.
I totally agree.
I want to talk about two great managers who had two great performances last night. One, Brendan Rodgers.
I'm telling ye.
And one, Rafa Benitez.
Fact.
Everything he says is a lie.
Fact. 3-1 down against Norwich, win 4-3. Fact. Newcastle manager, Newcastle big club, smaller clubs come here to defend.
You sound like a Chinese man doing that. But incredible, though. And Fergie time was involved as well. I'd love to hear from some Norwich fans who went all the way up there who thought they were 3-1 up. 90 minutes passed, right? Yeah. And then suddenly there was a goal after 5 minutes, so 90 plus 5.
That's right.
And then the winning goal, as you heard Graham Courtney describe very eloquently there, 90 plus 6.
I know, unbelievable.
Incredible stuff.
And it's a hell of a long journey back from Newcastle to Norwich.
Well, you can't get to Norwich, can you?
There's
no motorways.
There's no motorways to Norwich. You have to go through like the Fenlands where there's single track roads and all that kind of stuff, So if any of you Norwich fans are still on your way back, trying to battle your way through the worst transport network in Great Britain to get home, give us a call and tell us what a disappointment it must have been for you.
Although, to be fair, I think the worst transport network in Great Britain is about to change. It's about to become Londinium again.
Oh, well, it has been for a while now.
But don't forget, on Saturday, not only are we doing our first show as the warm-up, Saturday 11 a.m. till 1 p.m., but they're shutting Tower Bridge for 3 months.
I can't believe that.
3 months?
That's unbelievable.
I think I'm going to have to start living here. I don't think I'll be able to get here.
It's almost unbelievable.
It really is, isn't it?
It's shocking. Now, there's other issues we're going to talk about tonight.
There are,
right?
yes.
And you're right about that. Well, what a result for Celtic. That was
incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what a result for Newcastle. Oh, I saw the fat Spanish waiter, who some people call Mr. Benitez, but I don't.
Well, I do. I don't think you should be rude to him.
I saw him launch himself in his black suit into one of his players' arms.
Right.
And it looks, honest to God, it looks like Orca the whale trying to get over the wall into the Pacific Ocean.
I like Rafa Benitez. I don't know why you dislike him so much. We're also going to talk Arsenal as well, because they won last night, of course.
And I think we should also talk about West Ham players who go out for a quiet drink at with the manager's blessing and turn up for breakfast in a McDonald's at 7 o'clock the next morning in the same clothes. I think if you're a West Ham fan, I'd be quite
having
annoyed
lost the
last
4 games, I don't think
I'd be quite annoyed about that.
Yeah, I think we should
particularly
talk about
if one of the players there is injured and hasn't been playing recently, but finds the energy to go out and go on an all-night
bender.
Well, I was going to say bender because I have no independent evidence that he was bendering in drink, you know what I mean? But who knows?
Well, who knows? Anyway, we are the Two Mics. This is Talk Sport. We're talking to Sophie Nicolau, the soccer diva, coming up very, very shortly.
Excellent.
This is Talk
The
Sport.
Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe it's not too late to learn how to love.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We've got lots of tweets coming in already. Very kind words about Celtic and Brendan Rodgers, MG, says Bill. In terms of finances, it's David versus Goliath, but we did Scotland proud. And how about this one from Nick in Devon?
Yes.
It says, could the Two Mics comment on Steve McLaren's comments? Did you see Steve McLaren earlier on today?
No, I didn't.
He was at that football exhibition thing that they have every year.
Right.
And he was talking about how terrible it was for Sam Allardyce that this had happened.
Yes.
And that this can happen to any one of us now at the elite level of sporting management. And he's basically saying that, without saying quite in as many words, that entrapment was the thing that had won.
Yes.
Basically sort of saying that, this is the kind of thing you have to look out for. And the only place you can find privacy, says Steve McLaren, is inside the 4 walls of your own home.
Is that right? Well, perhaps he should have stayed there then. What
have you got against him?
Against who?
Against against Steve McLaren.
I haven't got anything against Steve McLaren, except I didn't think he was a very good England manager.
No, he wasn't.
And I think that for most of his life, I think he's been, what's the word I'm looking for? Over-optimistic about his own abilities and telling everybody it's all going to be all right, and it often hasn't been all right.
No, indeed.
Yeah.
Nat says this, have you ever been to the Magic Roundabout in Swindon? I have. And it's not particularly magical, and it's not particularly difficult either to manoeuvre. I don't know why people get so worked up about it.
Britain's most complicated roundabout.
But it's actually not. I mean, it's
roundabout within a roundabout, isn't it?
Well, it's several roundabouts in a row, but they're not actual roundabouts. They've just got sort of, there's no structure in the middle.
Yes.
But also because of the fact that in Swindon there isn't that much traffic, there's never really a massive problem.
No, absolutely. I haven't been there, actually. I try to go to Swindon as infrequently as possible.
That's where my divorce was finalised.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Apparently in Swindon,
terrible place.
Well, you see, that's a bit unfair because,
no, it's not. I've been there many times.
Yeah, but have you been to Old Swindon?
Yeah, I've been to the whole part of Swindon.
Because Old Swindon apparently is good.
No.
Now, like for instance, when I go to Portsmouth, there are 2 Portsmouths. There's Portsmouth, which is looking a bit shoddy on the edges because, let's face it, thousands of people have been decommissioned from the military forces who used to be the life and bread, financially, economically of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, life and bread. Yeah,
life and bread.
The staff of life and bread.
Okay.
You've heard that.
No,
it's a biblical expression.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with the Bible.
Okay, well, I am. And but then again, there's Old Portsmouth.
Yeah.
I think Nicky Quinn used to live in Old Portsmouth, he told me, which is absolutely lovely. It goes down to the water, goes down to the harbour, there's Spice Island Inn, there's the Still and West.
Well, it's not absolutely lovely.
It is beautiful. No, it's beautiful.
I've been there with you.
No, beautiful Georgian houses and
right.
Georgian squares.
It's okay.
Portsmouth Cathedral. The route that Lord Nelson took from the hotel on the day that he set off to get onto the flagship Victory and go to battle at Trafalgar.
Yes.
And, of course, was never seen alive again because he came back in the casket of apple juice that we talked about.
Yeah,
apple rum,
Calvados.
Calvados. That's right, apple rum, yeah. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
Now,
well, I have been to Old Swindon because I went to an interview there once, actually, with the Wiltshire Times.
Oh, yeah?
When, at the time, my wife wanted me to get a job with the Wiltshire Times.
And where were they based?
Swindon. In the old town.
Oh, Swindon. I'm sorry. Yes, Swindon, yeah.
We were talking about Swindon a minute ago. Have you forgotten?
No, I thought we were talking about Portsmouth then.
No,
I thought, what
you said to
there?
me, no, you asked me if I'd been to Old Swindon.
Yeah.
And
now,
I've also been to New Swindon.
I do know
and
that
I can confirm that most of it, if not all of it, is bloody awful.
Most towns that I judge from the position of a first-class seat in a carriage on a train.
Yeah, well, that's no way to judge a place.
No, that's what I mean, when it pulls into a town and leaves again. Yeah. So, for instance, my view of Swindon is that it's a hole because everything I've seen out of the window of the carriage.
It doesn't get a lot better.
It doesn't get a lot better.
No.
I mean, other towns like that horrify me.
Yeah.
Darlington.
We went through Darlington, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. You know,
but you can't judge a place by where the train goes through, because inevitably where the train goes, it's not a very nice part of town. I mean, Cardiff, for example, if you go through into Cardiff Station, and all the sort of environments around there are not particularly nice, but there's some beautiful parts of Cardiff.
Well, yeah, of course,
if you walk around.
Yeah, the Mumbles, that's in Swansea, isn't it?
That's Swansea,
that's right,
that's nowhere near Cardiff.
No, that's right, yeah. Now, what I was going to say is, you see, you're absolutely right, because what you will find is in the immediate environs of a railway station will be railway cottages for railway workers.
That's right.
So it looks like it's a pokey little town with tiny houses where people are still living in two ups, two downs, Coronation Street style. You know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with that necessarily.
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I love the north of England, and I think that that's a good environment. However, it doesn't give people a lot of inspiration as to... I sometimes think to myself, supposing I'd taken that job in Bradford, which I once applied for, you know?
Yeah. Which job was that?
Deputy editor of the Bradford
Argus?
Argus, yeah. Bradford Argus and something else, wasn't it? Bradford.
I don't know. I remember the Bradford Argus.
Yeah, Bradford Argus. That's right. Yeah, and I, I went looking around all.
You would have hated that.
Well, I would have hated it, I suppose. No, I wouldn't really, because I'm a northern boy, and I don't mind Yorkshire. No, I don't mind Yorkshire.
You are not a northern boy at all.
I don't mind Yorkshire.
You're a soft southerner, just like me.
No,
how about this from John? It says, the A47 and A17 cut across the fens into Norfolk and are a nightmare. Avoid it by going down the A1M to the A11. Much safer.
Is that right?
So if you're travelling back from Newcastle, that's what you should do.
OK, thanks very much indeed. Listen, if there's any Newcastle fans out there, give us a shout, because, in fact, what happened with those two late goals is it catapulted Newcastle up to third.
Up to third place,
in the Championship.
It's a massively important game, actually, because they were way down in ninth, right? And when I looked at the score, literally on 90 minutes, and I was just checking the various scoreboards.
They were 3-2 down.
3-2 down.
That's right.
And then it had been 3-1 down. And I thought, well, that's really bad news, because it means it's great for Norwich, but Newcastle are going to stay down in ninth. That might start to get a bit of a struggle for old Rafa to get back up into the top three.
No.
But I think he's done a brilliant job.
I think you're absolutely right.
But why are these guys not in the Premier League? That was my question at the start of the show.
Who?
Rafa Benitez and Brendan Rodgers.
Well, we know why Rafa Benitez is not in the Premier League, because...
why has he not been poached by somebody is the obvious question.
Because he's turned down the opportunity to go there, because he's on an incentive scheme at Newcastle, which will benefit him enormously if he gets them back in the Premier League, which he will. I mean, I can't see Newcastle not being promoted.
But I mean, it's a very tough old road to hoe.
Hang on, Huddersfield will fall by the wayside, won't they? They're top at the moment.
Well, you say that. I don't know why they would.
Huddersfield will fall by the wayside. I can tell you that for sure. Who's the most famous player who ever played for Huddersfield?
The most famous player that ever played for Huddersfield? I don't know. Nat Lofthouse.
No, he played for Bolton. Right. Isn't it Frank, the guy who used to roll his shorts up?
Frank Worthington.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, until actually,
did he play for Huddersfield?
All bar his genitalia was revealed, because he rolled his shorts up to his hips. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And Frank who?
Frank Worthington.
Frank Worthington. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was. I mean, he was the first. Him and Rodney Marsh were the first sort of party boy footballers.
Did he play a bit for Arsenal? Frank Worthington.
No,
he went to Man United, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Didn't he?
He played for Huddersfield.
Yeah.
I think he played for Leicester City, if my memory gets me right.
Uh-huh.
I saw him play at Goodison for a team there, and he scored, and that would be in like the late 60s, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did he play for Leicester? I think he played for Leicester. I'll look his record up in a minute. He certainly played for Huddersfield. And then second, you got Norwich, right? Now, Norwich will probably make it, but I don't think they'll win the table. And they've got Newcastle on 19, and behind them Brighton. I think Brighton will make a very strong challenge as well to get up.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, but look at the other end of the table, you see. Wigan, Blackburn, Cardiff, all relatively recently Premier League teams.
That's right, yeah.
OK?
Well, you know, lately I've noticed on Twitter that there's been a sort of resurrection of the Venky's Out campaign.
Yes.
Because, you know, it started years and years ago when you and I were doing the mid-morning show.
Absolutely,
back in 2010.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a bit upset.
The Venky's chicken.
The Venky's chicken, yeah. And we did a show with a load of chicken noises.
Right,
and one of the guys who was quite closely involved with the club got very upset, didn't he?
He did.
I remember that. He wouldn't speak to you for a while.
It was the agent, wasn't it? Jerome.
That's right. Well, I didn't want to give his name away.
I'm sure he wouldn't. I mean, it's on record he was associated with.
Is he still associated with him?
I don't know. I don't know. But he was associated with them in those days.
But yeah, Wigan once managed by Roberto Martinez.
Exactly,
He won the cup for them, didn't he?
Yeah, he did,
Got relegated.
That's right. Blackburn.
And then Cardiff.
Once managed by Graham Souness.
Yeah.
And Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah, Cardiff, of course,
and
who were bought over by the man who wanted to turn them into a blue team into a red team.
Well, he did, and now they've gone back to blue, haven't they? Yeah, and but you see, and the poor old team...
Mr. Tan.
Yeah, Mr. Tan, that's right. The poor old team propping up the Championship. Rotherham.
Yes.
Now, I mean...
Saved by Neil Warnock of this parish.
He was indeed, yeah. But now they're down there again, I'm afraid. And there's not much to say about Rotherham. The thing I love about Rotherham is when I was a student...
What does it look like from the train, would be my question.
I have never been through it on a train, but I've been through it in a Lotus 7 car.
Have you?
Yeah, you know the prisoner car? I thought
the prisoner car was like one of those open, like, beach buggies.
Yeah, it was. No, it was a Lotus 7, and it was a kit car. So what happens is, me and my mate at
How did you get into that?
It's a two-seater.
Really?
Two-seater.
Yeah, but they're quite small, though, aren't they?
Oh, they're quite small, yeah. But me and my mate were at the University of the Trent. And every Friday afternoon, we used to do outdoor land surveying. And this is where we used to plant our pole on the other side of the ridge and then just get in the car and
how did you get into a Lotus 7, though?
Two of us.
Yeah, but whose car was it?
It was my mate's car.
It was his car?
His father owned a garage in North Shields.
Oh, OK.
And so
that's why you hung around with him?
That's right, yeah. Now, we just had time to have a quick drink, quick one, in Nottingham before we left. And then the pubs in Rotherham didn't shut till 3 o'clock. So we had to burn up the M1 motorway from the junction that connected Nottingham and Derby to the Rotherham junction to get there for a quick pint, which just about kept my mate under the drink-drive limit because of the half hour involved in the middle. And we used to get into the pub in Rotherham 3 minutes to 3 and get a last pint.
There we are.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Marco says it's the Bradford Telegraph in Argos where my brother started his rise up the greasy pole.
Of course it was.
So there you go.
Telegraph in
Argos, we're going to be talking to Sophie Nicolau about Arsenal's performance and a bit more Champions League stuff as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
On DAB, digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Talk Sport.
Madness, they call it madness.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course, we've got lots more coming up. We've got loads to talk about. We're going to talk to Sophie Nicolau about the Champions League. We've got Newcastle to talk about, more from Celtic as well. First of all, let's talk to Sophie Nicolau right now, who is, of course, the soccer diva, who we haven't spoken to in a very, very long time.
No, we haven't.
Sophie, a very good morning to you.
I've been having withdrawals. Thank you.
Well, great to have you on the show.
Time of year for therapy.
Yeah, well,
I
luckily
get my therapy later in the season.
Yeah, you don't really need it at this time of the year, do you? Normally, because Arsenal normally at the sort of beginning of the Champions League campaign and start of the Premier League, there's nothing too much to worry about, is there?
Yeah, you're still kind of coming off a summer and in kind of a really elated mood because football is back and Arsenal usually do well this time of year, but. Dare I say, I'm not going to say or make any predictions because I don't want the two mics to really come at me here, but we are playing a little bit differently. And I think if you watch Arsenal week in, week out, I think fans are seeing something a little bit different. The hustling in the against Chelsea was unbelievable. The closing down, the defending responsibly, the keeping a clean sheet, the going up so early and then playing the rest of the game without conceding a goal. Those are major milestones for Arsenal this season so far.
And what's different then?
I think that, it's a big difference when someone like Coquelin goes off, and this was something my cousin and I were going back and forth with over Twitter, that then Granit Xhaka comes on as opposed to Flamini or Arteta. And I'm not being disrespectful to Flamini or Arteta, but Granit Xhaka is a sweet player. And by the end of the season, people could be looking at him as one of the signings of the season. I think, Mike, maybe we spoke the last time we spoke, we were talking about him, and I was saying he's very much like Alonso. He provides Arsenal with a sweeping pass, but even his short passes, he's so accurate, and he just opens up other players to be able to do different things. He's also defensively responsible as well, and he's just fit in. It's seamless, and I think that's been a major difference. And also not playing Giroud. I like Giroud. I think he's done some good things for the club, but players are really taking their chances, and a thriving Walcott is really something to behold. I mean, where's this guy been all these years? This is the Theo Walcott everybody wants to see, and he's doing it so far consistently every week. 5 goals in 7 games, playing with confidence and looking like a man who really wants to show people what he can do.
I mean, there's a piece in tomorrow morning's papers, Sophie, saying Walcott has turned into a bully, and it is a thing of beauty. You know, he's actually using his sublime skills together with a bit of strength to terrify the opposition.
Yeah, he looks like he's beefed up even a little bit more this summer, and I think that it's helped him. And you're right, it's the way he's carrying himself on the pitch. He's determined, and he's not allowing anyone to get to the ball. And he led by, dare I say, he was a leader against Chelsea. I was stunned. I didn't know if I was watching, Arsenal really play this way, because we've suffered so badly at the hands of Chelsea for so many years, dominated the game, and Theo Walcott was leading by example, getting himself in really incredible positions, and at the same time finishing, absolutely having the clinical finishing at the end of a move.
That's right. And, of course, Gareth Southgate's going to pick his England team this week, and he's said in the past that he favours players who are in form. So whether or not Theo will get a recall to the international squad...
Well, a week is a long time in football, though. I mean, he might be out of a job by then. You know, you never know.
Well, he's got to pick the team on Friday. He's got to pick the squad on Friday. So I think
is he meeting anybody on Thursday?
Well, who knows?
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the big question, I suppose, to prove whether Arsenal are doing anything different this season, Sophie, will be, can they actually top the group in the Champions League? You know, a good draw with PSG, which you might say was slightly undeserved over in Paris. But, I mean, you'd imagine they and PSG will go through. But can they get to the top of the group and actually get an easier game in the knockout stage?
I actually think so this season. And you say, not very deserved the point, but that's the point, is that Arsenal are now getting those type of points, and they're grinding things out, and they're finding a way to win. And since losing to, since the Liverpool game, which was a horror show, something changed, something switched in this team. And I think, Wenger's made some brave decisions tactically, and sometimes he gets killed for them. And I've been critical of him in the past, but so far he's doing a great job. The Alexis Sanchez experiment seems to have been clicking and working. Ozil is playing sublime football. When your players are in form and they're playing the way they are too, obviously that helps the manager. But the proof will be in the pudding when we play City, when we play United, when we play...
Spurs?
Spurs. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's important that we perform the same way in those games and get results in those games too. So,
but it was another summer of disappointment, was it not, when it comes to signings? And I mean, it might be because everything's kind of rosy at the moment. You guys are all going, oh, it's fine. Arsene Wenger can stay another couple of years, and we don't really need any more players, and we're playing a different kind of football. But it's still, just about the end of September.
Well, it's funny. Arsenal fans are damned if they do and they damned if they don't. I think Arsenal fans are being really measured about where we're at right now. I think everyone's enjoying watching the team play, the way they're playing. I think they see the differences. People who support the team and watch the team can really see the differences. Mustafi and Koscielny at the back. Very early on, yes. But if they play the way they're playing right now and they can stay fit for the season, that is a very fruitful partnership. A massive difference in the team to have Mustafi and a player like him come in at the back, and Xhaka in midfield, and Alexis Sanchez playing up front, Ozil playing in his role. So it's come together because tactically he's making the right decisions, but we also now have the players in those positions where we were lacking previously. So, maybe in March we'll have a different conversation and everyone will be bemoaning a striker or bemoaning, another centre-back or whatever. But for now, I think let's just credit the team for the way they're playing, get behind them.
Oh, sure. But the only thing I would say, Sophie, is there have been a lot of false dawns, I'm afraid, in this equation. You know what I mean? And there've been a lot of seasons when it's been like this now, but it's not finished successfully.
I think, says the Evertonian. I think I think, though, the difference is those players that I mentioned.
Maybe, but I mean, this...
Gabriel's different. Gabriel is not Mustafi, Arteta and Flamini are not Granit Xhaka. People have been yelling at Wenger for saying all he needs is 2 extra players, another 2 potentially world-class players. Well, he's gone and got those players. And so we can't criticize him yet until, it collapses. For now, he's made some tweaks and it is working. Could he have invested more money? Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
It's a long season, 4 tournaments, and we'll see if that comes back to bite us later on in the season.
Maybe. Whatever he does, he's got to overcome Manchester City. And Manchester City, of course, were, pulled back a bit tonight, weren't they, by a quite remarkable performance from Celtic, who we thought would get battered at least 4-0.
I think it was very good timing on Celtic's behalf to humble a Pep Guardiola side like that just before they meet Spurs. I was saying to David, the producer, it couldn't have been more perfect timing. Celtic did a great job. They're playing at home. They got into the game. They were humiliated 7-0 by Barcelona.
Yep.
And Manchester City, the informed team, most people have already declared them champions. It's a long season. There's a lot of football still to be played. Let's not crown anyone king just yet. And so, if Celtic can get a draw out of Manchester City, the quality Arsenal have in their team, there's no excuse to not give that game a good fight. And I think for the first time in a few seasons, Arsenal fans are relishing the idea of playing a City and a United. And we want another go at Liverpool. And I think this team will be ready for that. They certainly have a different bite about them.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I was saying just the other week, as much as Manchester City were looking very dominant in the Premier League, every team always has some kind of a point at which the results just don't happen for them. And maybe this Celtic result is the first one at the beginning of that. They've got Tottenham coming up this weekend. Arsenal have got Burnley. So, you might think one way or another, Arsenal might find themselves in second place come the start of next week.
Exactly, and Tottenham are going to fancy their chances. It's interesting to see City falter a little bit without Kevin De Bruyne. It shows the value that he's bringing to that team already. And I think that Pep Guardiola, after you see the team play a little bit, Brendan Rodgers, credit to him, he did his homework. Yes, they let in a lot of goals, but tactically he had his team set up really well, and they challenged Manchester City, a bit like the old Barcelona. Remember how some teams would be afraid to defend against them, and you just want them to attack them? And Celtic went for it from the kickoff, and credit to them. If they can do it, I think a lot of the top teams in the Premier League shouldn't be so afraid of Manchester City after tonight's performance.
No, we shall see. Yep. And I mean, over the last week or so, and because we haven't spoken for a while, I just wanted to ask you about this, Sophie. The succession conversation that will go on inevitably sort of always around Arsenal, around Arsene Wenger. Eddie Howe's name's been mentioned. There's been talk of, there's always been talk possibly of going abroad to bring somebody else in. I mean, is there anything going on, or would you see somebody as being sort of groomed to take over from Wenger? If he went, for example, to take the England job?
Wow. Are Arsenal playing the way they're playing because Wenger said this really is my last season? I'm not coming back after this. Is that why the players are playing the way they are? 20 years, who knows? Is he going to walk off into the sunset with the Premier League under his arm? He's going to be a very tough figure to follow despite the challenges and the lack of Premier League titles over the years. He's definitely brought a stability and a style to the club and changed English football in many ways, himself. And so tough shoes to fill. I would like us to pull a Juventus or a Barcelona and go for a player who knows the culture of the club, because it's going to be tough to fill his shoes. Why not bring someone in? If Dennis Bergkamp could overcome his flying issues, I don't know if you boys can help him with that. Maybe you could take him out for a beer one night and have a word.
Well, we just do him like Mr. T. Do him like Mr. T, just like, get him drunk, put him on the plane. When he wakes up, he's at City Airport. No problem.
I think that's a great plan. Absolutely.
Okay, well, listen, Sophie, delightful to talk to you again. And we shall talk soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, boys. Thanks so much for having me, and be good.
We will. Thank you very much indeed. The lovely Sophie Nicolau, there, soccer diva over in California, very much connected with the movie business. Dennis Bergkamp might be a good manager next for Arsenal. We got lots more to talk about. How about this one from William, who says, geographical knowledge is very useful to me. Mr. Parry lets me know all the places not to go to.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah,
but he also says another place, Swindon, on Porky's long list of places he is insulted. Not many left for Porky to insult now.
Well, no, I'm not insulting Swindon. I like Swindon.
You said it was a hole.
No, I said that the view you get from the train makes you think it's a hole, but it's not a hole. And I said Old Swindon is a very nice part of town.
It's actually not.
Good place to go for lunch.
No, you were right the first time around.
Nice.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
recognise that.
That's the Magic Roundabout, isn't it?
I don't think it's the original Magic Roundabout, though, because my ears are so keenly attuned to music.
Right.
And I think that's somebody else kind of playing. It's a bootleg version.
Yeah, it is. I never saw the Magic Roundabout. Did you?
Yeah, of course I did. I used to watch it after, after I got home from school.
What age were you?
Well, I was school age.
No, but I mean, were you 8 or were you 15?
Well, I wasn't 15. No, I didn't watch it when I was 15.
Well, the reason I ask is,
you're substantially older than me, so there's a slight gap in what we used to watch.
I've never watched the Magic Roundabout in my life.
Well, you were probably too old to watch it.
Maybe I was. I don't know. But I mean, watching a snail and a bouncy.
Brian. Brian was the snail.
Who was the?
Dylan was the rabbit.
Who was the character on the Boing Boing Spring?
Zebedee.
What was he?
Zebedee.
Yeah, what was he?
What?
What sort of creature was he?
I think he was meant to be a bee or something, wasn't he?
No.
But he was on a spring.
Yeah, he was on a spring, yeah. But he... well, I mean, you know the names of them all. You must have sat
Well,
there
I remember the names of them. I used to watch it, because I was in primary school.
So what was the plot of the Magic Roundabout?
The plot? Well, it was more philosophical than really a storyline.
Well, hang on. All these
Dylan was basically a stoned-out rabbit. Right?
Yeah.
So he would walk around kind of, like a hippie.
Or going, yeah, man.
Yeah, hey, man, what's going on?
Yeah, man,
Zebedee was, I think, a sort of meant to be a jack-in-the-box, but he looked a bit like a bee or some kind of insect as well.
Okay.
Brian was a snail. It was actually quite sort of soothing and quite sort of a nice show to watch.
So they all get on this roundabout. The roundabout goes round. What happens then?
No, they weren't really on the roundabout. So the stuff that went on around the roundabout. I don't remember that well. I mean, I was a kid.
Well, hang on. Why was it called the Magic Roundabout?
Because there was a roundabout in it.
That's what I mean.
But I don't know. I don't think
so
they
did
actually
they get on and off this roundabout?
No, they didn't get on and off it. No, I think the roundabout was a metaphor for life. And that basically, they would do things and the roundabout...
So it wasn't really a child's programme then?
Well, like a lot of really good child's programmes, it had a lot of, layers to it. And different subliminal messages.
Ooh.
Like In the Night Garden, the Teletubbies and all that. I mean, all of these kids' programmes...
Teletubbies?
Over the years. Teletubbies is a great programme.
It's rubbish.
How do you know? You never watched it?
No, I didn't watch it, but I didn't watch it because the people, the characters concerned were rubbish. You could tell.
Now, it's been pointed out to me, and I don't know whether you knew this,
right.
By one of our Twitterers, that it was Jon Snow's 69th birthday.
Yeah, I know.
Yesterday.
Yes, I know.
Did you send him a card?
No. And do you know what? I only came across that after we got home yesterday, and I thought, I wish I'd made...
a bit of an opportunity missed.
Yeah, it was an opportunity missed. I wish I'd made more of it. Does he still host the Channel 4 News?
Channel 4 News, yeah. In fact, he was not in the studio tonight because he was up in Liverpool with the Labourites,
Oh, of course he would be, the Labour conference, yeah. I'm amazed he's not in America doing the
I'm sure he will be.
Because, I mean, he regards himself as the world's greatest political reporter.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be as well, yeah. But
once it gets a bit closer to November.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely sure. But I tell you about another anniversary, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
70 years ago today, the first biro was launched.
Really?
Yeah, and
I've got a note from Stephen who says it's 117th birthday.
No, it's the 117th birthday of the bloke who invented it, whose name was Enzil Biro, who was Hungarian.
So by coincidence, it's his birthday and also the birthday of the biro some years later.
Well, no, I can't tell you that. Well, I can tell you the first biro was manufactured 70 years ago today.
Oh, right.
Okay, on this day, which is September the 28th,
but isn't that
years ago.
Though, that it's also the birthday of the guy called Biro?
I can't confirm it's his birthday.
What do you mean you can't confirm it?
I don't know what his birthday is.
It is the 29th of September.
Who told you that?
Because I know it is, because I got a tweet to that effect.
So you're saying it's his birthday on the 29th of September?
On the 29th of September, 117 years ago.
I'm telling you that... I'm telling you, Jimmy. It's 70 years since they launched the biro. Maybe he did it on his birthday as a sort of a gesture or joke or something.
But what's the difference between 117 and 70? It's 47, isn't it?
It's 47.
There's that number again.
That's right, yeah, amazing.
Very random number. However... But if, in fact, he was 47 when he first launched his first biro, it took him a long time, didn't it?
No, because these inventors, they invent all sorts of things which don't go away. Can you believe that only 70 years ago, so what year was that, 70 years ago?
70 years ago, well, we're 16 years into this century, right? So take 16 away from 70, that leaves you what?
54.
So go 54 years back from 2000.
56. No, 46. 46.
There you go.
Right, you won't believe this, but...
No, probably not.
In 1946, people were still using quills to write. Yeah.
Yeah, but during the war, right?
Yeah.
They weren't writing with quills, were they?
Well...
Because during the war, they were typewriters.
Yeah, I've never seen a war film with a bloke with a quill signing the peace deal or anything like that. So
where'd you get this rubbish from?
No, it's true. Up until 1946, believe it or not, people in sort of rural areas of Hungary were using quills.
Oh, very possibly.
And this is what prompted Enzol, his name was Enzol Biro, to
was it Laszlo?
Laszlo, that's right, Laszlo Biro, to get moving on trying to invent a writing
It's probably
influence.
pronounced Biro as well, wasn't it, if it was Hungarian? Don't forget, my Hungarian knowledge is quite strong. Given my time in the bakery.
I don't care what it was called in Hungary. It's been known in the Western world ever since as the Biro.
I'm saying that his name would be Biro, probably.
I don't care what his name was in Hungary. What do you pronounce a Biro as in the Western world?
Well, you've only ever pronounced it Biro.
Exactly.
That might be
saying,
American. Apparently, according to our research department, Biro filed his first British patent on the 15th of June 1938.
Right.
So that would fit in with what you were saying, would it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, that was 70 years from 1938 is 2008.
What?
70 years. You said it was the 70th anniversary of the first Biro.
Yes.
Right. Well, the first British patent for a Biro was filed on the 15th of June 1938.
Yes, but it wasn't manufactured until 1946.
Is that right?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely right.
So it took another 8 years.
Yeah, that's right, because of the war, you see. The war got in the way, and funds for developing new
I guess that would make
things.
sense.
Halted everything for 8 years. I mean,
see.
Everything was on hold, wasn't
Funny
it?
enough, I bought one the other day.
A Biro?
Because, you was telling me I don't have a pen.
Yeah, why would you buy a Biro?
Because I was in a post office, and it was one of those post offices where... This is not the one I bought, don't worry. It was one of those... Look at the state of your face. I mean, you're just looking at it with such disdain.
I will show you a pen. You have got... I'm going to describe to the listeners.
I've got a pen from the office.
You've got a manky old piece of see-through plastic with
it's a Biro.
No end on it.
It's a Biro.
And it's disgusting. It looks like the sort of
Somebody's been chewing it.
Looks like the sort of thing that a carpenter would keep behind his ear.
What's wrong with carpenters?
Nothing wrong with carpenters, but they use biros like that. This, however, is a proper pen. What is this?
That's a pen.
Yeah, but it's a pen which is a cross. Is it a cross?
A cross?
Yes, it's cross.
And that's a cross.
That's from my collection of pens.
What do you mean a cross?
A cross is the name of the manufacturer of quality pens.
Where are they made?
These are made in Switzerland.
Are they?
Yes.
How much do you pay for that?
£90. What's your problem?
Why would you pay 90 quid for a pen?
Because I like good pens.
I paid nothing for this one.
No, I know.
Picked it up outside.
I know, you found it on the floor outside.
No, I didn't find it on the floor.
Disgusting,
I found it on somebody's desk.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, I was in a post office the other day.
Right.
And I was sending some documents, right?
Where were you sending the documents?
I can't reveal that. And I was sending some documents, right? So I had to write an address on...
Some sort of, some sort of underhanded negotiation deal, was it?
No, I very rarely have to go to the post office. I just had some documents
well, this is what I'm saying.
that I had to sign and
People
send.
very rarely go to the post office. What was it?
I'm not telling you.
You were ordering a new batch of porno magazines or something.
What?
Were you?
No, I don't order porno magazines, actually. Have you not heard of the internet?
Oh, right,
if you want to watch porn,
yeah.
you just watch it on the internet.
Well, I've never watched porn.
You don't need to order magazines. You've never watched porn on the internet?
No, I haven't.
Why do you think your email keeps getting hacked?
No, they're not hacking it for that reason, believe me.
Really?
I research my journals on the internet.
Well, indeed.
But I've never accessed pornography.
Right.
I think pornography is an evil presence in the world.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Apparently, Cross are an American company, actually.
Yes, I know, but they have their pens made in Switzerland.
And have a look at that. Google's Doodle, that is. That's celebrating the 117th birthday today of old Mr. Biro.
Excellent.
As it were.
I've got some notes here. Only a plank would pay £90 for a ballpoint pen. It's a fancy case with a cheap refill.
Yes.
That comes from... I don't know who it comes from.
Well, you could get a Parker for a lot less money than that.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't want a Parker. I wanted a Cross. And the point is, of course you can pay 90p for a pen or £90, but to say that it is a ballpoint pen is not correct. It is a work of art. It's an engineering project, and it's in a beautiful blue colour. Would you not agree? That's a beautiful blue colour.
It is a nice pen, but I mean, if you said to me how much would I pay you for that,
yes.
I'd say, I mean, at the most, I would say you could probably pick that up for about $12.99. Well, it doesn't look like a £90 piece of kit.
It does to me.
Really?
Yes. And it's in the eye of the beholder. And I know it's worth £90, so I feel good when I pick it up and start writing with it.
Right.
You know?
Now, how about this from Johnny? He says, were you ever near Chippenham or Trowbridge? Ever encounter a village called Seend? Love driving through there on my commute. Well, it's funny you should say that, right? Because I used to live...
I didn't say it, actually. Somebody else did. But anyway,
funny
go on.
he should say it,
yes,
I said.
Yes.
The reason I say it's funny you should say that is because I used to actually live between all of those places.
Right.
And Seend was just up the road from where I used to live in a little town called Werton,
right.
Which he probably also goes through on his commute.
Yes.
And Trowbridge is not a very nice place, I have to say. Neither is Chippenham. But Seend is very nice. And guess what happened in Seend?
Yes.
Seend was where my ex-wife bought the dog that we had from.
Right.
And who then went to where she then used to go and sort of tell anybody that would listen that she'd been ripped off because, the first dog we had was meant to be a pedigree Labrador and it turned out not to be.
I see.
And then I got a phone call from the woman's husband that
saying
she bought
that
it
you're
from.
slandering this woman.
Saying that, why is your wife going around the town slandering my wife?
Yeah.
Can we please sort this out?
Yeah.
And it was so Seend played quite a bit. There's some lovely pubs there as well.
Now, what does Seend look like? Is it picturesque?
It's very picturesque, yeah. It's right at the top of a hill. The Kent and Avon Canal is just down below. There's a beautiful, the Barge is a great pub where you can go. I'll take you down there one day. You'd like it.
I know the Barge.
Do you know the Barge in Seend?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Seend is.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously.
I didn't know that.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Got quite a few tweets to read out to you. Here's one from William who says, did you guys read about the family from Staffordshire who left their home after a Brazilian wandering spider's young burst out of a banana? I didn't read that, no.
What was that?
Apparently some family in Staffordshire left their house after a Brazilian wandering spider's young burst out of a banana.
Don't know about that.
Okay.
Don't like creepy crawlies.
Are you frightened of spiders?
Yeah, you mentioned the Barge before.
The Barge, yeah. There's a lot of pubs called the Barge, so you may not know exactly the one I'm talking about.
Well, there's not more than one Barge in that part of the world.
The Barge in Seend is quite a famous pub.
Yeah, of course it is. And it's famous for. It's famous for being the headquarters of the farmers' boys who come in there, get tanged up, and then go out with bits of rope and planks, and they make the crop circles.
No, I think you're thinking of another Barge.
Am I?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well,
that one's nearer to Marlborough, I believe.
Well, the Barge I'm talking about, you can see from the top of the Vale of Pewsey.
Yes.
You climb up to the top of the Vale of Pewsey,
barge.
which is it's a different barge,
it is,
which is a beautiful view.
Vale of Pewsey's lovely, yeah.
It is
Well,
absolutely
all around there. That's
spectacular.
why when we had our favourite counties the other day
That's
in lithography,
right.
I named Wiltshire as one of my favourite counties. Because it is spectacularly lovely.
Well, that's amazing. There's two barges so close to each other. Maybe it's a very popular name for a barge in that part of the world.
Well, there is, because the Kent and Avon Canal runs all the way through that particular area.
That's
so if
true.
you have a pub on the canal,
it's
quite a likelihood it's going to be called the Barge.
Do you know, that's good thinking, because I'm always constantly amazed at the number of little pubs, usually pretty crummy and decrepit, called the Station Inn. But they're
always by a station.
That's right, yeah. No, always next to a railway station.
Yeah, well, there is that.
The Station Inn.
Now, how about this one from James, who says, so Porky has never accessed porn on the internet, eh?
No.
Like saying Big Sam never been involved in dodgy dealings.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I can assure you I wouldn't know where to go. What would frighten me is that if you tried to do that, you might actually be drifting into criminal territory, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you read about all these terrible stories about people's computers being seized and all that. I've got no fear of anybody looking at my computer. Yeah. The only stuff on it is emails and stuff which involve work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure they'd be bored stiff.
Yeah, they would be, yeah,
Now,
I suppose,
going back to Frank Worthington, right?
Yes.
Do you remember I said to you that I had this vision of him in a blue and white striped shirt? Well, that was apparently the Huddersfield kit. At the time that he played, 1966 to 72, but he also played for Leicester, as you correctly said.
Yeah.
He also played for Bolton.
Yes.
He then went to America for a bit, Philadelphia Fury, played for Birmingham when he came back, went to America again, then went to Leeds United, Sunderland, Southampton, Brighton, Tranmere, Preston, Stockport.
Unbelievable.
And then went off to the Cape Town Spurs, then played for Chorley, then Stalybridge Celtic.
Stalybridge.
Stalybridge?
Yes,
Is that in Ireland?
Celtic. Eh?
Is that in Ireland?
No, it's in Greater Manchester.
Oh, okay. Galway United.
Galway, yeah.
There
Okay, been there, yeah.
And then
yeah.
Weymouth, then Radcliffe Borough, then Guiseley.
Really?
Then Hinkley Town.
Golly.
Then Kearney's Bay.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? And then back to Halifax. He finished his career at Halifax in 92.
You could actually say, you could actually describe him as the original journeyman footballer, couldn't you, with all that in tow? Now, listen, I've got to tell you about this amazing story. Which will be published very soon, but it's from one of my medical journals. And, in fact, there's a headline here in a paper that's going to drop tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
4 in 5 have a heart that is older than they are.
4 in 5 people?
Yeah, have a heart that is older than they are. Now, you know that I know a lot about hearts because, of course, only 1/3 of my heart works, and I've been an expert on hearts ever since I suffered acute heart failure in 2004 and was given 36 hours to live.
And you were put on a heart transplant list?
I was on the transplant list for 7 months.
Yeah, but now you're better.
Well, I am, yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, it is. It's a medical miracle.
Have you ever heard of anyone else who was on the heart transplant list and no longer was on it because they're still alive?
Not as long as me. No. Not as long as me. And in fact, I think if you go through the record, you'll find that I'm a miracle. But anyway, let me tell you this. Look, 4 in 5 Britons have hearts prematurely aged by poor lifestyles.
Yeah.
In the worst cases, men and women in their mid-40s have got hearts which are typical of a 60-year-old. Okay?
Yeah.
The disparity puts them at far greater risk of cardiac arrest, stroke and disease.
Uh-huh.
And research by the University College of London is a stark reminder of the dangers that obesity and lack of exercise can bring to the human body. 2/3 of British adults are overweight or obese.
Yeah.
One of the worst rates in Europe. Okay?
Yeah, but how do you know whether your heart is older than you are? I mean, is it just as a result of your lifestyle? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but what I'm saying is, if the doctors give you a cardiac examination, which can be very thorough these days, and you can only do it properly if you're on a treadmill.
Well, we've seen the picture of you all wired up.
Yes, that's right.
Like Bane.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the Batman.
That's right. Yeah, exactly, and they can find out. 89% of men below the age of 40 have got unhealthy heart rates, compared to just 41% of women.
Uh-huh.
And 1 in 7 adults had hearts 10 years too old for them. 1 in 14 have a gap of 15 years between the age of their body and the age of their heart.
Right.
I mean, this is amazing.
Well, why are you telling us this?
Well,
it's
I'm telling you this
doom
because...
and gloom, isn't it?
No, it's not doom and gloom. It says the way to get over it is to do what I've been advocating for years, to go walking. Now, you'll have seen a report earlier this week saying that if you walk for 35 minutes a day, you actually put 7 years on your life. When are people going to start believing that what I tell them is right? Hey?
Well,
when are people going to start believing me?
Well, not everything that you say is right, is it?
Hey?
Not everything that you say is right.
Yeah, but a lot of what I say about medicine is right because I take such a big interest in it.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me.
Well, if I were you, I'd worry more about your heart than about everybody else's, because not only is yours older than you are, probably, but it's also not working very well.
Okay, now, listen, you can find...
okay.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you for that piece of information, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a true statement, isn't it?
What?
That your heart doesn't work as well as everybody else's.
My heart only works at 1/3 capacity.
Yeah, so you should be more worried about your own heart than everybody else's heart.
Well, yes, but because I'm compassionate, I want everybody else to try and have a better life than me and not have to struggle with their heart every day of
Do you remember that guy yesterday from Barbados who you told to go to work and stop slacking?
Oh, I'm going to Barbados.
Yeah, you don't remember it, do you?
Oh, to the sunny Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, do you remember the question?
No, I don't, because I didn't speak to a man from Barbados yesterday.
But we had a tweet from Marcus in Barbados because he said there was a storm coming.
Oh, right.
Should he stay at home or should he go to work?
Yeah, go to work, that's right.
Well, I've got an update from him on the storm.
Yeah.
Barbados has been shut down for 2 days. Schools, businesses and the airport are all closed. Severe flooding, trees and houses damaged.
Still think you should go to work because, if everybody stays at home, there's going to be no rescue workers or anything like that,
No, if the roads are bad, you're not supposed to go out on them. That's the whole point.
That's right.
Otherwise, you end up having to keep the rescue people all busy.
Well, maybe you're right.
Which is not a good thing.
Now, I'm going to give you a quick checklist on your heart, okay? Very quick.
Okay.
Right, these are the factors that hold the key to your heart's age, right?
Yes.
Your date of birth, so, you're like 50 plus, right?
I'm 56, I don't mind admitting that.
56, okay, right. Your gender, obviously you're male.
I am definitely male.
Your ethnic group,
Ethnic group is white Caucasian, I think.
White Caucasian.
Yeah.
Your postcode.
By postcode, I'm not giving you.
No, but your postcode's important, where you live. Well, it's all about lifestyle.
No, well, I'd just say London.
People in inner city have worse hearts than people who live in the country. Because in the country, you have to walk more.
Well, what if you've got 2 postcodes?
Well, I suppose you have to split between the two.
I realise that there are certain parts of the country which tend to be the poorer parts of the country where public health is worse.
That's right, absolutely.
Where life expectancy is worse. And I would say that...
Like Grimsby.
I don't live in one of those postcodes, all right?
Do you know Grimsby used to be the biggest fishing port in the world?
Well, it's now the biggest container port in Europe.
Yeah, except...
Even though you say that there's no reason to go there.
I'm going to tell you about that later on the show. Do you know there's a load of container ships floating around the world which are not being allowed to dock?
Really?
Because the company that owns them is in such a massive financial legal wrangle with the port authorities, they won't allow them to dock.
Wow. So what's on these container ships?
£12 billion worth of goods, which are going to various ports like Rotterdam.
Things like cars and stuff like that?
All sorts of things. Yeah. A bride's wedding dress.
Really?
I'll tell you about the story in a minute.
Story.
Yeah.
But I think we saw a few of those off the coast of Whitley Bay. They were just sitting there.
We did, actually, yeah. But I'll tell you the whole story in a minute because it's a great story. But anyway, just to finish the heart one, okay?
Yeah, go on.
So here we go. Do you have cardiovascular disease?
Yeah, not as far as I know.
Well, exactly. But I do, you see.
Right.
Do you smoke?
I do.
Yeah, but I don't.
Yes, you do. There's pictures of you smoking at Whitley Bay.
Is your height comparable to your body mass?
Height comparable to it? Well, I would say so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Height and weight ratio, that is.
Yeah.
Do you have rheumatoid arthritis?
Certainly not.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
What about the pain in the toe?
Well, I've never had it since. I had it once.
Oh, well, let's see about that. Right. Do you have chronic kidney disease?
No.
How do you know?
This is a stupid quiz.
No, it's not.
I mean, if you have chronic kidney disease, you're going to be in hospital.
Well,
hooked up to a kidney machine, dialysis machine.
Maybe. Right, here's another one. Hang on. Have you had atrial fibrillation?
No.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely sure.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's some kind of heart murmur, isn't it?
No, it is.
It's a heart murmur.
Yeah, it's a heart murmur, yeah. Right. Has a close relative under 60 been told that they have a cardiovascular disease?
No.
Okay. Do you know your cholesterol level?
No.
Well, you should.
Why?
Because then you can take measures.
When I was in America, right, I used to go into, say, for example, I was in an airport once in Detroit or Chicago or something. I went into the to the bathroom, the toilet, and there were two guys standing there washing their hands, talking about their cholesterol level.
Really?
It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard.
It is, isn't
it? Mine used to be a 7.9, but I've got it down now to a 6.5.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, funnily enough, I've had a conversation with the next one. Do you know your blood pressure?
Yeah, I did know my blood pressure, but that was the last time I gave blood, I think.
It's the figures are like 85 over 45.
It can depend.
Like that,
it can depend. I once gave blood after fixing a tyre on a car.
Yeah.
Not gave blood. I had to go to a doctor's surgery for a checkup or something.
Right.
And my blood pressure was quite high. And I said, well, it's just because I've just run from having fixed my car tyre to here.
Yeah.
But I think it's something like 120 over 80 or something.
Yeah, because the last question is, have you ever received blood pressure treatment?
No.
No. Yeah, but you see, it could be.
So it sounds like I'm all right then. So my kidneys are fine, my heart's fine, my blood pressure's okay, and I don't know my cholesterol level, so I live in the right place. I'm probably good.
Chronic smoking.
Yeah, but that's
going to be a downfall.
You know, there's another study, and we may talk about this on the show tomorrow, actually, that genetic factors will have probably more effect on whether you die young.
How would you
rather than, well, because they've done a study at UCLA.
Oh, yeah.
And what they've said is that there's clear evidence now that an awful lot of people are healthier than other people.
Is that right?
Simply as a result of their lucky genetics. It's a simple matter of luck.
Simple matter of luck, eh?
Yeah.
Right.
Which explains why some people who smoke don't die of lung cancer and don't die young, whereas other people who don't smoke do.
Yeah,
this is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. It's Porky quiz time. Porky quiz time tomorrow, actually, which is on Canada. Since the royal family are visiting Canada, or bits of the royal family are. Porkyvision coming up later on. Bill says this must have been hard for Porky to watch cartoons or kids' TV whilst locked in the family coal cellar.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a bit of a joke, isn't it? And it is a bit harsh because nothing of the kind has ever happened. Now, listen, I'll tell you what I haven't spoken about, but we were going to. The amazing pre-game ritual of Jamie Vardy.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard about this?
Well, we talked a little bit about it. We talked not so much about his pre-game ritual, but we talked the other day about how he liked to get into fights and drink, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he said, I like to scrap and a drink.
This is his glass of port scenario, isn't it?
Well, it's one a glass of port. What he does is...
There's loads of Red Bull, right?
I mean, this is great. This is great.
Well, it's not great. I'd read that and I thought, this can't be healthy.
Right. He fills up a Lucozade bottle full of port the night before the game, and he watches telly. And you're all right there?
Excuse me. I'll be fine.
Sorry, you're all right. Have you been on the port?
Swallowed my tea the wrong way.
Oh, dear me. That's you haven't been on the port yourself, have you?
I don't really drink port, no.
No?
No.
What were you drinking yesterday in the Shard?
Champagne yesterday.
Champagne, yeah. Well, that gives you bubbles go down the wrong way.
Yeah, but that was yesterday.
You're right. Your eyes just started watering.
Well, because I just drank my tea down the wrong way.
What did you do that for?
I didn't do it for any reason. I did it because I did it by accident.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Well, it's a bit silly thing to do.
Well, it is a very silly thing to do.
Concentrate on doing your job properly.
I'll try to, yeah. I'm going to have another sip of it now. It'll be all right.
Well, I'll talk while you just recover.
You carry on.
So Jamie Vardy, what he does is, he's got a superstition now, because he won the Premier League Championship by going through this ritual. So he gets the Lucozade bottle and he fills it up half full of port.
Yeah.
And then he fills it into a small Lucozade bottle, and because he said I can sip it more easily from the bottle. I don't like it from a glass.
Yeah.
And he sits there watching a few hours of television on the night before a game, and he says it's just like drinking Ribena. He said,
It's not really, though, is it?
Well, you're right there. The voice has gone a bit.
I'm fine.
You okay?
I'm fine.
You sure?
I'm absolutely fine.
To see the show out?
Hey?
Will you be able to see the show out? Yeah?
What show?
This show.
Yeah, I think so.
You sure? Okay,
I
yeah.
think so.
So he says, I don't do it for the alcoholic effect. He says it's just that the first time I did it, I went to bed and I slept, absolutely deeply the night before a game. So now I do it all the time.
It's quite rich, though, to drink port every single night, isn't it?
No, it's night before a game, not every single night. And he says, and it gives me a great night's sleep. Now, to gain an edge before a 3 p.m. kickoff the next day, he drinks 3 cans of Red Bull.
But you see, that's the bit I think can't be good for you.
Throughout the morning.
Because you used to drink a lot of Red Bull, and it sent you kind of mad after a while,
Well, it didn't send me mad, but it became...
Did it not make your heart race, though?
The difficulty is, technically, medically, if you're drinking alcohol, you are slowing your heart down. If you're drinking Red Bull, you're speeding it up.
Right.
So you're putting your heart into a race against itself.
But what you're actually doing in either case is affecting,
the rhythm of the heart.
The rhythm of the heart.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the very most dangerous thing you can do is drink this Red Bull and vodka combination.
All I can say is when I read that, I was thinking to myself, you can't really imagine a coach, a modern-day coach, for example, like Arsene Wenger or Pep Guardiola even Jose Mourinho saying to a player, before you go on, make sure you drink 3 cans of Red Bull.
Well, exactly.
I mean, these are people who are now controlled by all sorts of macrobiotic diets. Well, they know what their fat content is that they're taking in. They know what the carbohydrate content is that they're taking in.
That's right.
Can't be a good idea.
But anyway, it says, to gain an edge before it's 3 cans of Red Bull and a double espresso coffee, because the caffeine kick, OK?
So 3 Red Bulls and a double espresso?
Yes, that's right.
No wonder he runs so fast.
Now, Leicester's medical team are very aware of this, apparently, and have no issue about that sort of liquid diet, given the measures involved. They wouldn't prescribe it to academy scholars, but the club understand that the England international has this unique approach to the game, and as it's done well for him, they've told him to stay with it. That's not a problem. Yeah. Now, I
find that amazing.
Yeah, well, they say it's good. Now, the most interesting thing is that as recently as 2012. Jamie Vardy used to take a completely different concoction of alcohol, which he thought was helping him.
Right.
And he used to drink Skittles vodka.
Right.
Now, have you ever heard of this?
I never have heard of Skittles vodka.
I hadn't either. And he drank Skittles vodka.
It's nothing to do with Donald Trump, is it?
It's nothing to do with Donald Trump, but it's supposed to give him the same sort of boost. And it is an alcoholic concoction comprised of hundreds of dissolved sweets.
Oh, what's actual Skittles?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, unbelievably.
So you know what Skittles are, right? Skittles are like those packets that you buy, right?
Yeah, well, we used to call them treats, didn't we? hard on the outside and soft on the inside.
Well, treats, but they were chocolate.
Yeah, they were
Skittles
chocolate.
are without chocolate.
Yeah, they're coloured.
So what he's doing is he's putting those inside the vodka.
That's right.
And letting them sort of stew in there.
That's right, and dissolve.
Dear God.
Yeah. So
that doesn't sound very clever either.
It doesn't, actually, yeah. An alcoholic concoction comprised of hundreds of the dissolved sweets. Now, Vardy realised his error when the Leicester physio, a guy called Dave Rennie, found out he was doing it in conversation. Vardy wasn't trying to hide it. He said to the physio, "This is what I drink," and the physio said, "Are you mad?" Because what happened was he had an injury, and he couldn't work out why the injury wouldn't clear up.
Right.
What was the injury?
What was the injury? You're talking about last season?
No, this is 2012.
Oh, okay.
In 2012.
Right.
And when he spoke to the physio and told me, he said, well, it's no wonder your injury's not healing. He said, if you're putting that sort of vodka into your blood system, and it's what I've said before about Paul Gascoigne.
With sort of sugar and everything.
Sugar and vodka. And he says no room for the air, the oxygen. Yeah. And oxygen has to be in your blood to knit your bones back together and your muscles and all that kind of stuff, which is exactly...
I'm frankly staggered that considering the modern medicine now that which all football clubs supposedly utilise, right? And modern techniques of cardiovascular, strength and conditioning and all that kind of thing, that they would let him do that.
Well,
because that sounds really not only unhealthy, but actually quite dangerous. Drinking 3 cans of Red Bull and a double espresso.
That's right.
Before running out onto the pitch for 90 minutes and running at the speed that he runs.
Yes.
I can't see how that's good for him.
Well, I do have to say, I think it's a very intriguing sort of routine. Anyway, the first
apparently he had a dead leg, by the way, during that period.
It was dead leg, that's right, and it wouldn't heal.
Yeah.
So anyway, he adopted the Red Bull routine in the season that Leicester got promotion from the Championship.
Right.
Scored 16 goals and said, I'm going to stick with it. So It's remained the same to this day.
But can you imagine if he'd gone to Arsenal, for example, in the summer, which he was at one point there was a possibility he was going to do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him turning up at Arsenal with all the things that Arsene Wenger does?
That's right, yeah.
And saying, well, I've got to have these, sorry, boss, I've got to have these 3 cans of Red Bull, and can somebody send out to Costa Coffee for a double espresso for me?
I know, but listen to this. This is actually his routine. On a Saturday, he starts the day when he wakes up with a can of Red Bull, which he drinks within 30 seconds. He drinks the whole can.
Right. This can't be right.
No, seriously. I know, this sounds like a joke, doesn't it? So he puts the can of Red Bull down in 30 seconds. He has no breakfast, right? But at 11:30, he eats a cheese and ham omelette with a few baked beans, right?
Well, cheese and ham omelette's all right, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so. I don't know. I don't eat cheese and ham. Oh, I suppose cheese and ham.
Cheese and ham omelette's lovely.
Yeah, but I don't eat eggs, so I don't eat an omelette.
Well, you're missing something there, because omelettes are wonderful things.
OK. Now, he says, I washed that down with another Red Bull, right, which I also neck very quickly. So he obviously goes for the rush, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? He says, while we're waiting and killing a bit of time, I have a double espresso.
Maybe it's not so much that they have to kill time, it's just that he thinks time is going really slowly because he's sitting there like on edge.
That's right, yeah. I have a double espresso. He says we get into the dressing room an hour and a half before kick-off, and then I have my 3rd can of Red Bull.
Right.
But with this one, I do not neck it in a rush. I sip it all the way up until we go out for the warm-up, leaving a bit to finish off when I come back in.
Right.
So 3 Red Bulls, a double espresso, and cheese and ham omelette is what makes me run around like a nut job on a match day. He added and said, I can't say why it started because I generally don't know, but I decided to drink a glass of port on the eve of every game in 2015-16 season. I'm not normally superstitious, but from the moment I scored against Sunderland on the opening day, I didn't want to change it. I fill a small plastic water or Lucozade bottle halfway up, and then I sip the port while watching television. It tastes like Ribena, and it helps me switch off and gets me to sleep a bit easier the night before the game.
And how old is Jamie Vardy? He's like 29.
29, yeah.
Because, I mean, you'd have to say, on normal... I mean, maybe he's one of these kind of, unusually healthy people.
Yeah.
Who's got a particularly unusual metabolism.
Yeah.
Because normally, somebody who was doing that for, say, 3 or 4 years, you would expect them to kind of run out of steam, wouldn't you?
Well,
and you would think that, as a professional footballer, their life sort of as a top player would be cut short. Because that is not a regimen, really, that you could recommend to anyone.
You kind of get the impression if he changed that regime now and didn't have 3 cans of Red Bull on a Saturday morning, he wouldn't be able to run around.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's not good for him.
And also, I mean, and I'm not insinuating or accusing at all, it's very close to artificial stimulants, isn't it?
I suppose it is.
If you know what I mean.
I suppose it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the rule is on Red Bull, but I mean, presumably if you drink enough of it, you might be over the limit on something or other.
Well,
how about this from Tom, who says, I do an 8 to 30 mile run on a Sunday. The night before this, normally I have a takeaway most of the time and some beer. But when I don't have those and I don't have a drink, I don't do it or have the energy to do it.
Really? So this is a refuelling sort of process then, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Fueling the body with, it's literally filling the body with fuel to do the things you do. It works for Jamie Vardy. He's got a Premier League medal in his hand and a host of England caps, so don't knock the boy.
Well, let's just hope it doesn't do him any long-term harm.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up, we're going to talk to somebody who knows a lot about long-term harm. Troy Casey is the health nut, and he's going to start explaining a few things to us. We could ask him about that as well.
Definitely.
This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the 2 mics. We are going to talk at some point to Troy Casey, the health nut, but we can't get hold of him at the moment.
Don't worry,
he might be out doing something healthy.
Now,
or maybe he's been listening to your the old Jamie Vardy Red Bull regimen
that's right,
and got so shocked that he's fallen over.
I was going to say, he might have fainted or something like that, the thought of it. You know, I was telling you about this ship earlier.
Yes.
This is a really interesting story, and it's a great worldwide story that everybody's ignored. But, of course, because I have access to shipping sort of contacts and connections with my...
Do you listen to the shipping forecast?
No, I don't listen to the shipping forecast. But as I live down on the coast, and Portsmouth is the world's biggest... Britain's biggest military port and one of the world's biggest military ports. As there's a, container depot very nearby, I pick these things up. Now, for a month, right, what's happened is a load of sailors, including British sailors, have been stranded at sea and can't hit land.
And it's because they have the unfortunate luck to work for one particular company.
Well, the company is called Hanjin, right?
Hanjin.
Yeah. Now, what's happened is the Hanjin Louisiana container ship, right, has been stranded at sea. Now, this it's an amazing story. This container ship weighs 40,000 tons.
Right.
That's a huge ship, right? Huge
I mean, that doesn't really mean much to me, but I can see most container ships as the same size. You know?
If I show you a picture of it, you see how those containers are stacked up on the
massive
deck. Yeah. I don't know why containers don't fall off ships. They seem to be stacked so high.
Well, it seems amazing, doesn't it? Especially if the sea gets rough.
Oh, I see them going in and out of Portsmouth all the time, and I think, how's that ever going to get across the English Channel, let alone round the world? You know.
Do you remember the time that the container ship sort of either ran aground or a couple of containers fell off?
Yeah.
It was somewhere down in the West Country, I think. And all these motorbikes were landing on the beach. And people were going down and nicking them.
Absolutely. Anyway, the 40,000-man vessel, Hannah, has been anchored 40 miles off the coast of Singapore in international waters. And the problem there is that it's one of the world's most dangerous piratical locations.
Yes.
You know, there's
piraticals. You've got to watch out for them.
For the pirates.
Yeah.
Now, two things they've had to do is protect their multi-million-pound cargo from thieves. That's bad enough. But the crew are now in danger of starving to death because they might be running out of food and water. And it's because the situation is that there's a global trade crisis following the collapse of the Hanjin shipping line.
It sounds like a vaguely Chinese name.
South Korea.
South Korea, okay.
It's South Korea's biggest shipping group, and it filed for bankruptcy on August the 31st this year.
Right.
It's left 141 of the firm's ships, including this one I've shown you, the Louisiana, the biggest of the lot.
Yeah.
Carrying £12 billion worth of goods, which belong to 8,300 businesses around the world, around the globe, unable to dock because no port now will accept a ship from the Hanjin line without advance guarantee of payment.
Because they can't pay for docking and all that,
They can't pay for docking and they can't pay for the services.
And the problem, I suppose, if you're shipping something, even if, like you mentioned, there's somebody's wedding dress on there, if you're shipping something as an individual, you don't know what ship it's going on.
No idea.
You don't know which company it's using.
No idea. No idea. You just take it down to your local dispatch depot.
Because I had to ship a load of furniture back from New York when I came back.
Funny enough, I did as well one time.
And it came via some company in Essex.
Yes.
And then they turned up at my place in Primrose Hill. But I had no idea who was actually bringing it.
No, I totally agree. You've no idea. Now, so listen to this. So in Britain, B&Q, the owners of... Kingfisher, who own B&Q, have said they've got hundreds of thousands of light bulbs, heating products and hand tools which are stuck at sea on ships owned by Hanjin. Because until they filed for bankruptcy on August 31, they were the dominant container company in the world.
Presumably some of this stuff is perishable as well, right? I mean, maybe not much of it.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think perishable stuff goes in containers, actually. But anyway, so in California, refrigerator, washing machines and dishwashers have been due for delivery after 312 containers of Samsung white goods were left stranded off Long Beach.
Right.
There's a ship full of Samsung stuff, dozens of containers off Long Beach with customers in California waiting for delivery.
Right.
In Australia, a bride is waiting for her wedding dress to be shipped from the Hanjin Milano, which is at sea off the Australian coast. Each of the ships has around 25 crew. A lot of them are drawn from Indonesian and South Korean locations, but many also carry trainees, including 24 from the UK.
Now, merchant seaman types.
Merchant seaman types, yeah. Now, there's one chap called Rua Reid Hannah and 3 other British crewmen.
Isn't that Rory?
No, it's Rua Reid, actually. Yeah. Rua Reid Hannah.
But isn't that like a Scottish name, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's that or it's sort of Far Eastern origin.
No, I think it sounds like a Gaelic name.
Rua Reid, Ruaridh. Rua Reid Hannah.
Yeah, I think it's Rory.
And is Hannah a Scottish surname? I suppose
I would say so, yeah.
So Rua Reid Hannah and 3 of the British crewmen are on the big one, the Louisiana. Yeah. But there's I think there's up to 24 others, right, who carry trainees from the UK. So for Hannah's family, you're absolutely right, in Scotland, the Scottish family, including his mother, Rona McLennan from Inverness, they encouraged him to take up the 5-month shipping placement as a trainee, but now, literally, he is stranded at sea.
He's stranded at sea.
And they can't even get hold of him.
But they can't talk to him?
Well, it says not, because batteries and things have run out on the ship and they can't renew them.
Blimey.
And all this kind of stuff.
These places are going to end up like the Marie Celeste.
They are. So anyway, the big ship that we've been talking about, the Hanjin Louisiana, set sail from South Korea in May. And Hannah, the young boy we're talking about, David Gorniak, who's 27, Graham Deacon, 25, and Gavin McPhail, 21, all joined the crew.
Yeah.
The vessel, built in 2012 and 750 feet long, that's the length of 3 football pitches, had a schedule to take it across Asia and Africa. The trip was going as planned when, just before the ship was due to dock in Colombo, Sri Lanka, Hanjin went bust.
Yeah.
The company had become the first major victim of crisis in global shipping, which has seen profits collapse.
Right.
Before the financial crisis, a dry bulk ship or oil tanker could earn £140,000 a day. These vessels now command around £8,000 a day. When it went bust, Hanjin had debts of £4.1 billion.
But how are they going to solve this then?
No idea.
Somebody's going to have to get in the middle of this and sort it out, aren't they? Because it's not really anybody's fault. I mean, it's obviously Hanjin's fault for going bankrupt.
Yeah.
But it's not the fault of the people who are trying to ship the stuff.
No.
Or the fault of the people who are waiting for the stuff to be shipped.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Like all the other vessels
Somebody
in the Hanjin...
somebody needs to intervene here.
Yeah, like all of the vessels in the Hanjin fleet, the Louisiana was stopped offshore by military craft when the firm collapsed and told not to move. Many ships were told not to go into port for fear they would be impounded and that creditors, international investment banks, would seize the cargo. At other ports, ships were turned back because there's no guarantee they'd pay the docking fees.
Blimey.
I mean, it's an amazing situation.
It really is. Now, I've got some information for you, though, which has just been sent in to us by Dickie G.
Thank you.
Who's saying that he's got information that the Hanjin Louisiana docked today.
Oh, really?
And he says, keep up, Porky, you plank.
No, thank you very much for that update. That's good.
So this is very good news for whoever's waiting for some stuff. Now, is the Louisiana the one that's off the coast of Long Beach?
No.
Oh, no, that's the one in Singapore.
No, it's the one off the coast of Singapore.
Oh, here we go. This is breaking news. From just a few hours ago. The South Korean container ship from the troubled Hanjin Group has finally docked in the port of Singapore after weeks of uncertainty. Let's see if it says what's actually going. And the stranded Scottish cadets who are all there, studying at the City of Glasgow College, are supposedly now relieved that they've been able to get off it.
Right, OK. Well, there you go. And their families must be very relieved as well.
They must be, yeah.
Because they weren't able to talk to them.
Yeah. The troubled shipping group's got debts of more than $5 billion, as you said.
Yeah.
But there's a possible sale of the firm. Shares soared by 18%.
Right, I
see.
see.
The sole court overseeing the receivership denied there had been any decision. It said the sale was merely one of the many options for Hanjin's future.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, I mean, see this, you start talking about it, and immediately there's a solution.
Well, I think that, this is the reverse curse of Porky, isn't it?
Well, it is actually. It would seem so.
It says here, but you're very right to focus on the Scottish element here.
Yeah.
The men who trained at Clyde Marine Training School and were sponsored by Zodiac Maritime to board the boat have been unable to complete the practical task to pass the course, so they can't even get their examinations done, right?
No, exactly.
Drew Hendry, who is the MP for Inverness, Nairn, Badenoch and Strathspey.
Nairn, no, there's a great golf course.
Yes, and Strathspey.
Yeah.
Has enlisted the help of shipping union Nautilus and has been to see the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, urging him to do something.
Yeah, right.
Maybe Boris is the hero of the moment.
That would be unusual, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Did you see that when he went to see the old President of Turkey? He was regaling him about his great Turkish washing machine, telling you what a great washing machine he had.
Well, he's got a Turkish washing machine.
Apparently, so he says. And
why would you have a Turkish washing machine?
Well, there's quite a lot of white goods made in Turkey, actually. But apparently, all the journalists, according to the British journalists who were out there, all the Turkish journalists were trying to find out. Remember how he described Mr. Erdogan one time? You remember what he said?
Something not nice.
Something that rhymed with Ankara.
Yeah, that's
beginning
right.
with W.
Yeah,
and they were all asking Boris Johnson's people what that word actually meant.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Now, how about this? Yeah. This will blow your socks off, as you often say.
Right,
morning, boys. It's Don in Yeovil here.
Yeah.
Now, he claims to be, incidentally, the cousin of Mr. Ian Danter. Right?
What?
He claims to be the cousin of Ian Danter.
Where's he from? Yeovil?
He's from Yeovil.
Oh, I've never heard Ian Danter talking like that, Ian Danter's a Birmingham boy.
Right, he says he's been Yeovil Town's club dentist for years.
Yeah.
Says Don. And he says, thank goodness Jamie Vardy doesn't play for us, because with that regime, his teeth must be shot.
Well,
drinking all that Red Bull and port and all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, he's probably got false teeth like me. not false teeth, but I mean teeth which have been replanted.
Well, he might have,
like whatever ceramic teeth are made of, yeah.
Right, now how about this from Mike in Isha? I must compliment Porky on regaling the listeners regarding the Hanjin container vessel, which is currently stranded with a full complement of crew. Yeah. As a former oil tanker broker, I'm very aware of all the pitfalls and loopholes regarding permission to dock. Right. However, let me just add that at 40,000 dead weight tons, amazingly, within the scheme of things, that vessel is not that large. Right. The largest vessel in history, I believe, remains the Jar Viking, which was a staggering 660,000 deadweight tons. Good God. I once had the good fortune of boarding this vessel. Wow. And it was gargantuan in size.
Well, it would be gargantuan in size.
So that's almost half as big again. Well, more than half as big again.
No, it's 10 times as big.
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 15 times as big.
Yeah, that is massive, isn't
amazing,
it?
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, what an interesting story.
Absolutely.
And hopefully with a happy ending. Yes. And maybe the woman in Australia will get a wedding dress.
But we have highlighted this to the world, and now things are starting to happen. Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that's karma?
I think it is karma. Absolutely right. We'll see if we can still track down our man, Mr. Troy Casey, the health nut, who seems to be hiding at the moment. This is TalkSport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
Through the teeth of this tempest, in the mouth of a gale, may the angels protect me if all else should fail and the last ship sails. O'er the roar of the chains and the cracking of timbers, the noise at the end of the world.
Now, this is an interesting song. Yeah, it's a shipping sort of song, but do you recognise it? Because it's a bit of a quirky one. This it's a sort of it's a northeastern one.
Oh
right? And it was done by a northeastern man. Yeah, who wouldn't normally sing this kind of thing.
All the little fishies.
Kind of a sea shanty type song, yeah. Sort of a folk song.
All the little fishies and all the little dishes when the boat comes in.
Yeah, but it's not when the boat comes in. But right. Who do you think could sing that?
I would say that would be that old guy with a beard from Durham, Roger Whittaker.
No, it's Sting.
Sting.
Oh yeah. Sting went through this period. Do you remember when he went through the period of going to see the guys in the Amazon with the plates through their lips?
That's right. Yeah,
and all that. Well, this was when he kind of went back to his roots and he did a show, and I think it was televised actually, a big sort of concert based upon all of these old kind of sea shanties and folk songs.
Did he? Yeah.
From the northeast. It was quite good actually.
Well, he was a milkman, wasn't he, up there in the northeast?
He was a teacher, wasn't he?
Teacher he was, yeah.
His
dad was a milkman, I think.
No, he was a teacher, I'm pretty sure.
He was a teacher.
And he got the nickname Sting because he used to wear a black and yellow striped jumper. And he looked like a bee.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. And of course, he wrote the song, didn't he? Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Well, that was a police song, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But the song was about how young schoolgirls got infatuated with him and sort of, were standing too close to him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And of course, you read stories about old pervo teachers who are sort of knocking off teenage schoolgirls every day.
Moment, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it works both ways, though. Sometimes the women do it to the men.
They do, actually, strangely. Yeah, be absolutely right.
Yeah. Now, the good news is we managed to track down Mr. Troy Casey.
Excellent.
So we're going to be talking to him very shortly. So we can ask you about Jamie Vardy's regime and also about that weird thing that happened to us last week.
Yes, that's right. The double toe problem. Yes, absolutely right.
Exactly right.
I tell you, it's quite interesting as well, and it's a bit. This is a bit sort of introspective between you and I.
Oh yeah.
But on the Sam Allardyce thing, okay. You and I have said what a marvellous piece of journalism it was. Exposing corruption and that kind of stuff, and yet still members of our profession can't get their head around it. TV sports presenter Jake Humphreys was widely condemned yesterday for blaming Sam Allardyce's downfall on the poisonous press.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. The poisonous press?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of the sensible... I mean, Alan Shearer, for example, has been very vocal about it.
Yeah.
Saying that this is a terrible thing for English football. It's an absolute sort of stain on the game. Yeah. The Telegraph are quite right to
shames us in the eyes of the world.
Gary Lineker's talking about taking police action against him.
Yeah, that's right.
And certainly and getting the police to look into all these alleged stories of corruption.
Anyway, our old pal, more your old pal than mine, because he invited you to his 50th birthday party and not me.
Yes.
Ex-tabloid editor Piers Morgan said, what is poisonous about exposing corruption?
Yes.
Anyway,
we were talking to Jason Cundy earlier because he appeared on Good Morning Britain yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Against Piers Morgan.
Against Piers, and Piers roasted his ass.
Well, he sort of did, really.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. As the protests engulfed the broadcaster, this is the Jake Humphrey guy.
Yeah.
Now, Jake Humphrey is the tall, lanky fellow who used to be on Formula One.
Well, he was also BBC before now, and he's on BT Sport, I think, isn't he?
He's on BT Sport now, yeah. But he was the guy in the pit lane on Formula. That's where I remember him from.
Did he not do sort of Match of the Day 2 for a bit as well?
I think he might have done. I think you're absolutely right. But anyway, he once the storm of protest engulfed him from his peers, i.e. people within his own profession, broadcasting and journalism, he deleted the tweet and took away the word poisonous and replaced it with ruthless. So even he knows that he made a ridiculous statement. I mean, funny enough, old Richard Keys, right, you know, an old colleague, isn't he? Was highlighting this morning in a tweet a piece by Matthew Syed.
Right.
And, you know, I have admiration for Matthew Syed, a great columnist for the
I think he got it wrong on this one as well, though, didn't he?
Well, Matthew Syed said, why was he sacked?
Yeah.
Matthew Syed was kind of, you know, so the guy had a private conversation, you know, with people, so what, and all that kind of stuff. So, a lot of...
Well, it's been a very divisive scenario. Yeah, you know, an awful lot of people that you would have thought would know better have said, isn't it terrible what they've done to Sam Allardyce?
I totally agree.
It never ceases to amaze me that
I
people
totally agree with you.
I mean, I've even had people... I mean, there's a couple of people on Twitter still banging away at it yesterday, saying, you know, it's unpatriotic to do this to the England manager. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, it is not unpatriotic. No. It's the right thing to do, and now he's gone. Well, so good riddance, frankly.
That's right. What else might he have done? That's
exactly right.
That's the problem.
Now, we're going to talk about toes coming up with a healer. I quite like saying that. I don't know why. This is Talk Sport.
Good.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
My tired feet, my tired feet, my tired feet, oh, my tired feet. My tired feet brought me to that red boat, so still and foreign.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Porkyvision coming up in the next hour, of course. Right now, though, we're going to talk to a very important man, Mr. Troy Casey, who is known, of course, as the Health Nut, which is not a bad thing, because he's a man who has got a great many ways of explaining how you can be healthy and how certain things can affect you, which you weren't expecting to affect you. Troy, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on the show there, Two Mics.
Not at all. Now, we've got a couple of questions for you about an athlete, actually, as well, after we talk about our own particular strange predicament. But last week, and I don't know how much you know about this kind of thing, but last week, myself and my co-host, Mr. Mike Parry here, got a sort of similar, shall we say, toe problem. Almost exactly at the same time. We both woke up in the morning with sort of a sore and stiff left big toe, which I've never had before, and I don't think you've ever had before, Mike, have you?
No, I haven't, and I put it down, Troy, to the fact that I had a new pair of shoes, and the bend in the shoe was particularly tough at the end of my left foot, and I thought, well, that must be wearing down on the joint between my big toe and the rest of my foot. However, I changed my shoes that day and thought, well, I'll go back to an old pair of shoes. It didn't change at all, and it throbbed for about a week and then went away. I just don't understand it.
Well, it sounds like the shoe could potentially have irritated it. I don't know, and it also depends on, you know, a couple other factors. It could have been something, you know, you guys ate, or I don't know enough about the information myself.
No, sure. But the strange thing is... go on.
Here's the one thing. Yeah. If you just soak your feet in some Epsom salt, that's going to take away most pain. So get a bucket in as hot temperature as you can handle, and pour in a half a box of Epsom salt, and most of the pain should go away.
What is the pain caused by? Is it inflamed tendons or something like that, or cartilage between the bone and the and the next bone or something?
Well, without assessing you, yes, it could be that. It could be your footwear, brand new footwear, isn't as pliable as something that's more broken in. So it could have affected you easily like that, as well as, you know, what you ate that day and what your diet and lifestyle factors are like.
Yeah, unfortunately, Troy, my colleague here has turned this into a question about his injury, right? Whereas what I was trying to get at was, is it possible for us to have a kind of sympathetic injury as such? Because I don't have the same reasons to have had a sore left toe as he does. because, I don't worry about the sort of shoes I walk around in, anything like that. But it struck me that when we got this kind of injury, it was at the same time and in the same place on the body. And whether, knowing what we know, for example, about some things that afflict, flight crews when they fly together, that when you're on the radio together quite a lot, could you be in some kind of sympathetic, injury mode?
Some kind of synchronistic cosmic connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's potentially possible as well.
It?
You guys could just be hypochondriacs together.
But you see, he is a hypochondriac, I would say, but I'm very much not at all a hypochondriac. I very rarely have any pains or aches or anything like that, and generally speaking, I'm not one to hope that I've got them, And in my case, it literally came and went in a few hours. It went away literally a couple of hours after I got it.
So, that could have been easily psychosomatic just from hearing his complaints. You adopted it.
Yeah, but we didn't know about each other's injury until later. That was my point. I mean, that was how weird it was.
Right. I can understand that.
So it's like twins, isn't it? It's like twins
well,
who suffer the same
This is what worries me, because he has, in the past, had acute heart failure.
Yes.
And obviously I don't want to get that.
Yeah, you absolutely don't want to get that.
No, it's not recommended. Right. I don't recommend that.
That's not healthy.
No, it really isn't. Anyway, listen, I'm sorry to rush you on this, Troy. We're nearly out of time. We've just been talking about the effects of caffeine on athletic performance. There's a footballer who's very successful in this country called Jamie Vardy, and he's confessed to, before every game, drinking 3 cans of Red Bull and a double espresso coffee, and then having a great performance on the football pitch. That can't be good for him, can it?
Well, long term, absolutely not. How old is this gentleman?
29.
29. I mean, the fact of the matter is caffeine speeds up the metabolism, and it also gives you a cortisol release. If you do that enough, you're going to burn out your adrenals. Cortisol, adrenaline, and insulin are your primary hormonal pathways. If you start adjusting those externally with something like caffeine, which is a drug, eventually there'll be a price to pay. At the cellular level, because it speeds you up, it will age you. So he can easily age himself prematurely, and it's a highly addictive substance. So if he doesn't get a handle on his own caffeine addiction, 2 Red Bulls and a double espresso is a lot. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy my espresso myself. I enjoy caffeine myself. But the older I get, the more I have to manage it.
Yeah.
So it is something like any drug that can get out of hand.
Yeah, well, we'll pass that on to him.
And that comes on top of a slug of port as well.
Yeah, well, that's something else. Yeah. Troy, thank you very much indeed. We haven't got any more time. It's fascinating. Caffeine apparently used to be on the banned list for certain sports.
Troy thought you were mad, by the way, asking him about toe injuries. And you could tell the puzzlement in his mind why you would talk to him about it.
We won't get somebody on to ask to get you to get your arthritic problem solved. It was about the whole phenomena of both of us having sore left toes.
Yeah, but I had to define the injury to him before we could ask him whether it was psychosomatic.
Well, a great tweet here from a guy called Eastern Eagle, whose real name is Mike. He said he watched the Hanjin vessel sail past his apartment window this morning and confirmed that it docked. So he must be in Singapore.
Well, it was in Singapore? Yeah, blimey. That's watching a bit of sort of maritime history, isn't it?
Well, it's always good to have correspondence around the world to give you eyewitness accounts of this kind of stuff.
It is, absolutely. Here we go. You mentioned it earlier, and now the audience have picked up on it. John says, "Hey, Porky, just read it's Jon Snow's 69th birthday.
Yeah.
Hope you sent him a card."
Yes.
Well, I didn't actually, because Jon Snow and I don't get on that.
I don't suppose he'd be expecting it, right?
No, exactly. For £90, you could buy 900 pens, says Alan.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, why would I want 900 cheap plastic?
Even though you never let me finish
pens.
my story about why I bought a biro the other day in the post office.
Right,
I think it cost 50p.
Yeah, okay.
50 pence.
Yes.
It's a perfectly good pen.
Yes.
And so now what I do is I keep it in my car.
In your car?
Yeah. Because I've got loads of pens. It's just that I tend not to carry them around.
Right, okay.
Because why would you?
It says here from Richard... Well, yeah, but I mean, you see, I've had a pen all my life because I was a newspaper journalist, and I was always writing things down about observations, about people telling me things, shorthand notes on the back of my hand and all that. I don't know how people operate without a pen.
Yeah, but I don't.
I've no idea how anybody in the world operates without a pen.
I don't operate without a pen.
You do. You've never got a pen.
Well, I've got one here.
No. You stagger into the office after a day of elaboration.
I do not stagger into the office. No, that is a complete calumny.
Listen,
that is a complete and utter calumny.
Right.
In fact, today
Yeah, give me your pen, please. Give me a pen.
That's not my pen. It's a pen. Right.
I'm taking a picture of your pen compared to mine. Okay.
Yeah, right, okay.
Then I'm going to put it out and show the audience because it's a disgrace that a man who claims to be
my pen works just as well as yours.
In the middle of the media would have a pen like that.
Yeah.
So that's going out.
But it's not my pen.
Well, no, of course it's not, because you haven't got a pen.
No, but I'm quite happy to use the pens that are in the office.
No, so you stagger into the office.
I don't stagger into the office at all. That's completely incorrect.
You pick up a pen, and I think it's a damn disgrace.
Really?
Absolute damn disgrace.
Well, like I said to you before, most people who have moved into the 21st century actually have other ways of keeping notes. And in fact, there is a thing on my phone called Notes. And if I wish to make notes, I make them on my phone.
What happens?
Because my phone is constantly with me, and I never have to worry about losing it.
What happens when, for instance, you're on public transport or something like that, and somebody comes over and says, "Could you sign my newspaper for me?" Which happens a lot.
Well, I'll say to them, "Have you got a pen?"
Well, yeah, but you see, I always say,
if they haven't got a pen, then I'm sorry. So what you're saying is you actually carry a pen to sign things for your fans?
No, I don't.
Is that what you're saying?
I carry a pen because I always need a pen. I've always got ideas in my head. I'm always writing them down.
I write them on my phone.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I mean, I don't.
I do say that because that's what I do.
But that means you've got to get your phone out, you've got to switch it on.
No, you don't have to switch it on. My phone is always on.
You've got to tap things out.
In fact, when I'm on the train,
you just make a note.
Incorrect. When I'm on the train or on the bus or not necessarily in the car, basically I'm reading stuff all the time.
Yeah.
If I want to remind myself of a particular story, I send it to myself, right? Because you can do that. You send the link to yourself, you read it. It's the modern world. You don't have to write it all down, like some kind of schoolboy from the 1950s.
The point is, even if you don't need it now, you should have been brought up with the habit of always having a pen on you, and you simply haven't. Now, listen, I want to talk to you about...
Cobblers.
Guess what? I came across one of these 50 years on family surveys today.
Oh, yeah.
And they're absolutely fascinating, okay? And it's how the world has changed in 50 years.
Yes.
Now, you were alive 50 years ago.
I certainly was.
And,
barely.
But I mean, you'll have a memory of being a child 50 years ago.
Well, kind of. I mean, 1966.
Yeah.
I think I remember watching the World Cup final.
Well, exactly. I saw the World Cup final. So I'm just going to run through a few things here with you, right? Okay. And it's fascinating stuff. For instance, let's talk about things that are relevant to us today.
Yes.
What we got here? The average house price in 1966, right? And England winning the World Cup. £3,620.
£3,620.
Now, my mum and dad bought their house 10 years before that.
Yeah.
So, and I think they told me it was about £3,000. In fact, there was no inflation, actually, for about the first 15 years after the war, because there was nothing to inflate, if you see what I mean.
I remember my parents telling me that they were given the opportunity to buy the flat that they were living in, not the one that I ended up living in, the one before that, which was in Hampstead, for £10,000.
£10,000, yeah. Well, that's not,
which would now be worth about $1 million and a bit.
Yeah, of course it would. But Chester, of course, was not Hampstead. So 3,620. In today's money, that would relate to 63,000. Right. So that's the average price of a house.
Yeah.
But because of the inflationary spiral in property, the average house price across Britain is 216,000. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
So that has gone up by a factor of what? About five really, isn't it?
No, 5 would be 300. About 4. About 4
and a bit.
A factor by 4 and a bit, yeah. Now, the pint of beer, right? So, my old man didn't actually drink when I was a kid.
Didn't he?
He went into abstinence for 20 years after the Second World War. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was completely teetotal.
Really?
Yeah, he decided to come out of the war to...
Well, when did he start drinking again, then?
When I was about 16, I think.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you told me stories of how you used to wait outside the pub for him.
What do you mean?
You've told me stories about how you used to wait outside the pub for him.
I will say to you that
he would take you sometimes to the pub and you'd be outside and he'd be inside.
Sometimes after a game of football at school, him and one other dad would drive to a pub car park, park in the car park, get us the traditional Coca-Cola and crisps, right? And
leave you in the car?
Yeah, leave us in the car, yeah.
It's not very nice.
No, it's not very nice. And
well, what age were you then?
About 12.
Well, then he was drinking.
No, because he'd go in the pub and the other guy would have a pint of beer, and my dad wouldn't. My dad would have something like a soda water or something, something like that. He didn't drink. Anyway, a pint of beer in 1966 cost you 2 shillings. Now, of course, that's 10p in modern day money, okay?
Yeah.
In modern day money, that is £1.75, right? But in fact, the average price of a pint of beer today is £3.46,
right? Which
is double what it should cost.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. But I suppose that is the way of things, isn't it?
Well, why is it cost twice in real terms as what it cost in 1966, I suppose, because the world's different.
Well, I suppose so. And also, I mean, the amount of the availability of it has gone up. Has gone up. Now, you might expect in economic terms that if availability is bigger, that the price would actually come down. But there's I bet you if you also measured the amount of drink that is now taken, it would be probably 10 times what it was.
Of course it would, yeah. Now, you see, monthly electricity bill, right? It was £2.07 in 1966. That equated to £41, right, a month in today's money. And guess what? In reality, it's only £45 in today's money. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
And even more amazing is this figure, the monthly gas bill.
Yeah.
Now, the monthly gas bill in 1966 was £6.10. That's £6.50. That equated, in today's money, to £113.
Right.
A month.
So if that's the average one, I suppose that's about. Although a lot of people's average is a lot higher than that.
Yeah, well, exactly. But the most amazing thing is, in modern day money, the gas bill is less than half of what it was in 1966.
Yeah.
Because it was 113 in real terms in 66. It's now £50. It's gone down massively.
Right.
That's amazing, because I thought gas was more expensive than ever, but it's not. It's cheaper than it's ever been.
Well, that's good then. That is a good.
Of course,
thing.
It's good. Yeah.
But I think if you have a big house now, there's sometimes the gas and electricity bill can be so ridiculously high that people can't afford it.
Yeah, well, I suppose you're absolutely right. But, I mean, so many fascinating prices here. A gallon of petrol, £1.02.
Yeah.
That's 6p.
Right.
Right? That relates in today's money to, believe it or not, £1.02.
Right.
But, in fact...
So that's more or less stayed the same?
That's more or less stayed the same, yeah. Except that the real price now is £1.10. That can't be right.
Well, yeah, but it's partly because, I mean, the petrol prices come down.
litre. Sorry, that's a litre. They're doing it by litre.
Oh, OK.
And the litre is £1.10 today. It's about the same now as it was in 66.
Right. And that's after it came down rapidly.
That's right, in real terms, yeah. That's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Sugar has halved in price since 1966. You can imagine that, because, of course, the importation of sugar after the war was restricted.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that. That is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's not that amazing, to be honest.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's half the price, 61p for a
well, that's
kilogram.
How you can afford to have 6 sugars in your coffee, right?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Bacon is half the price of it was in 1966. Do you know, rationing was still going on when I was born.
Really?
My mum had a ration book for me.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, well, I'm astonished by that.
Isn't that incredible?
Because it wasn't going on when I was born.
Yeah, it was when I was born. Yeah,
maybe it was just in Chester.
No, it was a couple of years before you, that was all.
Well, it was more than a couple.
Yeah.
Much more than a couple, because my sister was born in 1958.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't talk about ration books. They didn't have them then.
No, they didn't have them then. Definitely not. Average weekly wage for a man in 1966, £23.50. Average, in real terms, that was $3.49. In real terms today, it's $5.67. We're all much, much better off.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
Steve says this, what time does Porkyvision start? I need to get my head down for half an hour. Well, sadly, you haven't got half an hour, Steve. You've only got about 15 minutes.
Exactly.
It's coming up very, very soon.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Remember how we laughed away the hours. Think of all the great things we would do. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. We'd live the life we'd choose. We'd fight and never lose. For we were young and sure to have our way.
You must be very happy hearing that song.
That's Mary Hopkins.
It is.
That song was
Those were the days.
That was written by John Lennon and produced by Paul McCartney.
I think that was a question that you rose before, that you mentioned before, and it turned out that wasn't quite true.
No, I think it was.
I don't think it is true.
John Lennon scribbled it out, and then he said, I haven't got time to do this. He gave it to Paul, and they went to the studio, and Paul produced
I think
it.
we've been through this before. I think you're wrong about that.
Yeah. But anyway, why were we playing that?
Well, because it was a harkening back to the 60s.
1960, was that 66?
Whenever I hear that song, do you know what I think of?
Well, go on.
There was a football chant that I can't remember which team did, but when I was a kid, I used to go to various football matches in London.
Yes.
Quite often to see either Manchester United or Liverpool.
Yes.
And I remember the people used to sing, "Those were the days, my friend, we took the Stratford end."
Yeah, that's right, they did. Stratford
end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. They used to sing it on the Cop, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
They used to make up a lot of songs in those days.
I think that might have been a Liverpool song.
E-I-Adio and all this kind of stuff. We won the cup, E-I-Adio, we won the cup. You know, they're supposed to be like innovative songwriters because of the Beatles, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Now,
you want to tell me about this West Ham story? Because we were talking about Jamie Vardy and his pre-game of preparation. West Ham seems to have a different take on it.
I don't particularly want to go mad on it, but it does seem to me that if footballers are being paid vast amounts of money as they are, they should discipline themselves to the life of a professional athlete.
Yes.
Now, it's all very well, Slaven Bilic saying, I gave the players permission to go out and have dinner together as a bonding exercise, which in itself, I think, is an admission of weakness from a manager.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's really under the lash and under the cosh at the moment, Slaven Bilic.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to take the focus off himself and say, I'm giving the players a bit of freedom or something. But anyway, Bilic said he'd authorised the team to go out, told the players to go. I told Mark, he's talking about Mark Noble, the captain, have a big meeting. We have a few meetings, of course, in the last 3 weeks. And after the last one at Southampton, I told Mark to take the boys out for a meal, to go together. It's definitely good. It was good 50 years ago. It was good 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's good in any job. To bond, and I said to them, go and do it again. You're all friends. I'd say it's normal.
But the problem for West Ham at the moment is because they've lost their last 4 games in the Premier League, everything is under scrutiny. So if they were winning, nobody would care that much. Yeah. But was there not also, there was a weird kind of moment with Andy Carroll, because I remember seeing it on Twitter, that before the sort of the night out, as it were, or either after the night out or before the night out, he was supposedly in some part of London with another player or another couple of players, sort of getting sort of quite drunk publicly.
Well, I don't know if he was getting quite drunk publicly, but it was all about the clothes he was wearing.
Yeah.
Now, the point is, most of the boys apparently went out. And remember, by the way, Andy Carroll is currently recovering from a knee injury.
He
okay,
is, yeah.
It wrecked the start of his season, and he's supposed to be recuperating. So anyway, what happens is they go off and have dinner, and they go to a swanky Knightsbridge restaurant,
right?
Signor Sassy. Ever heard of that?
Don't know it.
I haven't either. And they run up a bill for £5,000. Which is fine, because they're multimillionaire, they're young men. And,
sure,
and
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. However, it's then said that some of the players, and I think Andy Carroll's one of them, and also Randolph. Who's Randolph? Is he
I think he's the goalkeeper, Darren Randolph.
Did you say Carroll? And that's right, Darren Randolph, yeah. They then went on. It says they went to
some club or other.
Went to some club. After the meal, some squad members called it a night. However, a group including Carroll and Randolph headed to the trendy West End night spot Cirque Le Soir, where they hired a private room to continue drinking.
Yeah.
It seems the players made the most of their night out as they were ordering and drinking bottles of premium champagne and vodka.
Yeah.
Several tequila shots were also drained by the partying players, who were joined by at least half a dozen female revellers. As the revels continued.
Sounds like a typical footballer's night out, doesn't it?
Well, it sounds like...
Although it was funny, because when we talked to Peter Stringfellow, when we were on Talk Radio a few weeks ago, he was saying he doesn't get too many footballers in there, because they now tend to have their private parties at home.
That's right.
No, but at home.
At home,
because, they can get away with more.
Yeah. But anyway, look, what's wrong with having female revellers? It's...
Well, they're young, successful, rich men.
Exactly,
If they're not married, he's married, though, isn't he?
Yeah, and... Yeah, he is married, yeah. But, I mean, I'm not making judgment on that. You can have friends of the female persuasion, there's no problem.
No,
so,
nothing to do with morals of an alley
persuasion, I mean the female sex, obviously,
yeah.
Anyway, so this then goes into Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Now, then there's a series of pictures. So, at 11:52 on Monday night, as the players leave the restaurant, Andy Carroll's dressed in a leather jacket and an all-white outfit underneath.
Right.
Rather a strange one, actually, sort of a white sort of shirt and white trousers.
Yeah.
He's got the same attire on at 7 a.m. On Tuesday morning at a McDonald's place in East London somewhere.
Right.
And at midday on the same day, he is pictured sitting outside a pub with Randolph.
Yeah.
And
still wearing the same gear.
Still wearing all the same gear.
Right.
Now, it raises all sorts of questions. Did they not have training that day? Well, Andy Carroll's injured. Is Randolph injured?
Yeah, I think
Darren Randolph, centre of a club probe, as details emerged yesterday of an extravagant, boozy team bonding session. So, you have to say to yourself, you really do, for fans who buy season tickets and expect to get the maximum out of their players, nobody's making judgment. But that means that if these two men didn't take a break between the start of their meal on Monday night...
You're not talking about sort of a 36-hour session, basically.
Well, it's about if they all got together at 8 o'clock on Monday evening.
Yeah.
And they were still... and their pictures sitting outside a bar on midday the next day.
Yeah.
Then that is a 16-hour bender.
16 hours, yeah. Yeah, and if that's when maybe certainly all the way up to possibly 20 if they didn't stop.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem to be the sort of thing you're supposed to do when you're recuperating from an injury.
Of course it's not. It's ridiculous, and it's no wonder that they say there's a club investigation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things going wrong at West Ham at the moment.
There are.
And frankly, I do not think that highly paid players who, are role models and who represent the club's, obviously, image, should be going around on 16-hour sessions.
Doesn't seem right, does
when
it?
the club's in crisis,
and
which it is.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this last Sunday, remember, and we had a West Ham fan who rang in and said, well, you said it's a crisis. And I said, well, will it be a crisis if they lose the game this afternoon to Southampton?
Yeah.
And, of course, they did.
Well, I don't know, when they lost 3-0.
Yeah, they lost 3-0.
They didn't just get beaten, they got battered.
They got battered.
And they looked, not only did they get battered, they looked without ideas. And Mark Noble, afterwards the captain, I've rarely seen him in a state of such despair, saying, I don't know what's gone wrong. Yeah. We don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I heard a story yesterday as well, where apparently Slaven Bilic has been criticised slightly because he's been having these training sessions where apparently many of the players have been allowed to bring their kids along.
Yeah.
Which, again, if they were winning, nobody would care.
Exactly.
But because they're not, people are getting a bit wound up about it.
I think it's a total lack of discipline.
Yeah. Now, I've got a bit of info for you on Those Were the Days. It was, in fact, produced by Paul McCartney.
Yes.
It became a #1 hit, of course.
Yes, I said that.
No, well, you said you didn't say produced it.
I did. I said written by Lennon and produced by McCartney.
Well, it's not written by Lennon. It's credited to a man called Gene Raskin, who put a new English lyric to the Russian romance song, which is called Dorogoy Dinayu.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but that's a really weird version of events. The Beatles wrote that song and Paul McCartney produced it.
Well, the Beatles didn't write it. If the Beatles wrote it, it would say so here.
It says
Paul McCartney produced it.
The credits on the song say Lennon-McCartney. I've seen it because I've got it.
Well, you've got what? You've got a single?
Yes.
Well, you better check it. It says produced by Lennon-McCartney.
Well, it's
not actually written by
it's an Apple production as well. It was the first record put out on the Apple label, so it's got a picture of an apple in the middle.
Yeah, because he produced it.
Yes.
Yeah, but not because he wrote it.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. My view is that they did. But anyway.
You can have a view, but it can be incorrect. I'll tell you what I want to tell you about in terms of production. Have you seen these pictures of Tom Hiddleston in the Daily Mail?
What kind of weird clothes is he wearing?
Well, he's doing an interview for a magazine in America called Interview, which is one of these kind of trendy magazines. But he's being taken to task by the lovely Sarah Vine in the Daily Mail.
Yes.
Who is, of course, the arbiter of all things tasteful or not,
she's
according to her.
The wife of Michael Gove, the failed prime ministerial bidder.
He basically looks as if he's sort of auditioning for a part in Cabaret.
Yeah, that's right.
He's wearing one he's wearing a long black leather coat. There's a lot of zips involved, black trousers, black leather jackets, boiler suit.
Very odd.
It's a very sort of cabaret-looking thing about it.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's because it's very strange. I can't work out whether he's trying to get himself into the Bond mode or trying to get himself out of the Bond mode.
They do all that, but the other thing they do is, because I watch, I have the TV on all day, most days, if I'm in my office, in Stockbroker Belt, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Tom Hiddleston now pops up regularly pleading for money for a charity which has got to provide water for children in the Sudan desert.
Yes.
And I'm all for trying to help children in the Sudan desert and trying to save them. But what I find remarkable is how rapidly the lovies, once they become actually famous, like Tom Hiddleston, jump on the old bandwagon of, look, what a kind person I am. I mean, everybody wants children in the Sudan to have clean water and have a decent life and to make their lot better. But, when you see them there, the last guy to do it was the bloke who played Brian Clough in The Damned United.
Oh, yeah. Who was
that great actor. He's also played Tony Blair.
No, is that the guy? Yeah, Michael Sheen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they come regularly as if they've got a monopoly on compassion.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't got a monopoly on compassion. It's just that you've acted in The Night Manager, and therefore you stick your face on the telly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just find it
Well, I suppose they think they're using their fame for good rather than using it for something
I'm
bad.
sure they feel they're using their fame for good, but what I'm saying is it's like you get recruited in this army of, we are compassionate people, and it's almost as if they have to prove how compassionate they are by pleading for us all to send water to children in the Sudan. I'd send water to children in the Sudan anyway to try and help them. Yeah,
okay.
I do.
All right,
I have done.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, a tanker?
No, you idiot. You send money and then somebody builds a pump, don't they? They drill into the desert, get a pump, and then, it's the old dad. I don't know what you're laughing at. By the way, I've had some notes here on Twitter saying, why wasn't I more sympathetic to you when you were near choking to death?
You claim to be compassionate.
I am compassionate.
I wasn't actually choking to death, but I could see that you were very much enjoying the fact that I was in some discomfort.
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, you did. You were revelling in it. Absolutely revelling in it. Anyway, Porkyvision's coming up next. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
That music can only mean one thing. It is time, of course, for Porkyvision.
Yes.
And you'll be telling us in moments what exactly you've been up to this week, what have you been watching.
Now, listen, I've been concentrating on a few nature programmes this week, okay? Because I do like nature programmes. I like to see how the world around us works, okay? Yes. Now, in 1928, we were down to No, we're down to... No, hang on, let me get this right. In 1928...
1928?
We lost all the ospreys in this country.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now then...
Where'd they go?
They disappeared.
Right.
They became extinct.
They went somewhere, though.
They went to Siberia. They went to Siberia.
Did they?
They went to Siberia. Right. And they didn't come back. Now then, as you know, because you'll have worked down there, right?
Siberia?
No.
I never worked there.
No, sorry, I didn't mean that. No, you worked down in South Wales.
South Wales is nothing like Siberia.
No, it's not. But there is a famous rugby team down there called the Ospreys.
The Ospreys, yes. Well, that was one of those names they added in later, though, wasn't it?
But never mind, they're called the Ospreys.
Yeah.
Now, that pretty boy guy used to play for them, Gavin Henson.
Gavin Henson, yes.
And they're based in Swansea, I think, aren't they?
They're Cardiff, aren't they?
Cardiff, is it?
I think so.
No, I think it's Swansea.
Is it? Do you think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Swansea because he moved there to live with the singer girl,
Charlotte Church,
and they lived in a very expensive house just outside Swansea. And he went training every day, and she stayed at home with the baby, and like I said, domestic bliss.
Yeah. Until
he decided that it was too boring and wanted to go off and do that programme 70 degrees west or something. So I was quite quite interested as to know why. A team in South Wales was called the Ospreys.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, that was one of those things that came up.
Yeah, but
latterly,
you see,
wasn't it? Because Swansea used to be just Swansea.
Yeah, but you're missing my connection here.
Well, right.
So then, on further research, I found out that actually the team was called the Ospreys because there used to be like thousands of ospreys in South Wales.
Did there?
But there aren't anymore.
Okay.
Now, the situation is that in 1958, it was in 1998. In 1998, right? And I got this from a wildlife programme. This is why it's so interesting.
Right.
In 1998...
So 70 years later.
Yeah, 70 years later. The ospreys were flying from Siberia to Canada.
Right.
And
quizzes on Canada tomorrow.
Eh?
Quizzes on
Canada tomorrow, that's right, yeah. And one pair of ospreys, because they stick together a lot, got tired and landed in Scotland.
One pair?
One pair.
Well, the others didn't get tired?
No, they just kept going.
Okay.
So what happened was, within...
Why didn't they fly over the Arctic Circle?
Because they got tired. The other ospreys did.
But they shouldn't have been flying anywhere near Scotland, should they?
Yeah, they were going in a curve across the top of the globe to Canada.
That's what I mean. So they wouldn't have gone over Lapland and all that.
Well, Scotland's not that far away.
Well, it is.
It's not. If you think about, Iceland is above Scotland and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I think they got blown off course or something like that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, possibly.
So they land there, and then within a few years, in the early part of this century, 2008, we've got a new colony of ospreys here.
Okay.
And they are the most amazing wild bird. What do you call birds that go around eating other birds and stuff?
Cannibals.
No, birds of prey. Birds of prey.
Oh, birds of prey.
They are the most amazing bird of prey.
Are they birds of prey?
Yes, they are.
Are they?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, well, this is the point. Now, this was such a fantastic programme. You know, the minute I saw Osprey, I thought, wow, I must see that, OK? So I switch it on, and you will not believe the Osprey. Do you know what the Osprey does?
No.
You know, you've seen in the past... what's this here? Oh, I've got another note here about another programme. Conviction, Murder at the Station. Wonder what that is. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
You wonder what it is, isn't it, in Porkyvision?
It is in Porkyvision,
okay.
Yeah. Right, so... What the Osprey does is, the Osprey has got such brilliant vision that when it... And what they do is they always nest near lakes. Okay?
Right.
There's plenty of lakes in Scotland, as you know.
There
and
are.
Locks. And
Locks
locks.
even, yeah.
Locks, yeah. So what the Osprey does is, from a height of about 300 feet, it can see a fish up to 12 feet down in the water.
In a lake.
In a lake.
Quite good.
Or a loch.
Yeah.
Now, just imagine, you're a fish.
Yeah.
Minding your own business, swimming along, you're 12 feet under the water.
Yeah.
What can possibly happen to you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, you could get taken by an Osprey.
Well, hang on. Let me just tell you. Now, if you are a salmon and you happen to be in a fast-flowing river in Canada, which we're doing the quiz on tomorrow, you suddenly come over one of the rapids and you end up in a bear's mouth.
Yes.
Because the bear's
wait for you.
The bear's waiting.
Yeah.
And that's a bit unfortunate, but it's quite a quick death. Because
well, I don't know about that.
Well, you get swallowed whole.
No, sometimes they just grab you in between their teeth and run off with it.
Yeah, but then they munch you in half,
That's what I mean.
So you're dead. I mean, it's not a problem. But anyway, what happens with the fish? It's swimming around the loch, 12 feet under, minding its own business, having a nice day, basking in the sun.
Having a nice day.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, I'm not joking, this explosion happens. The ospreys drop from such a height... And they drop into the water, claw first.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Oh, so they don't go beak first.
No, exactly. You've seen the kingfisher, right? And the kingfisher goes in beak first, grabs a fish by its beak.
And most seabirds do that as well. They go beak first.
Most seabirds. The osprey is incredible to watch, and I watched it in slow motion. It comes hurtling down from a height like a Stuka bomber, okay? And it drops into the water... Like as though you and I were doing top bombing. You remember that advert with Peter Kay?
Oh, yeah,
jumping off the platform.
Yes.
And then hunching your body up and bang. What do they call that? They call that tombstoning.
Tombstoning, yes.
And unfortunately, lots of kids who do this sometimes break their backs and things.
It's not very sensible.
Because it's in shallow water. It's not sensible, but it's sensible for an osprey. So the osprey goes in, I'm not joking, claw first.
Yeah.
It can go down as far as 12 feet.
Right.
It grabs the fish. Remarkably, right? And it then makes its way to the surface with its wings. And then, like a Polaris missile coming out of the sea from a nuclear submarine, it shoots back into the air with the fish in its clutches.
I see.
It is incredible. Absolutely incredible, right?
Yeah. Not so much for the fish, though.
Well, absolutely. And the fish is... flapping around trying to get away. And I suppose the fishes die of suffocation, do they?
Or shock. Have a heart attack.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
Somebody jumped on you from 300 feet up.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And grabbed you with their very sharp claws.
But
I think you might die of a heart attack.
It was quite astonishing to see it. Absolutely astonishing, you know. And
so we've got plenty of ospreys now, is that what your point is?
Hundreds of them.
Right.
The osprey community now is really well established in Britain.
Okay.
And I advise anybody who wants to see some spectacular nature to go and find a lake or a loch somewhere in Scotland or Wales.
Well, can't they just watch this programme?
They could watch the programme.
Will it be shown again, or will it be on iPlayer?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be shown again. It'll be on iPlayer or something. It's called The Ospreys.
Yeah, okay.
And it's great. Now, you mentioned Poldark, so I suppose I'd better...
Well, you don't need to, because you normally mention it once a week. Isn't it finished yet, would be my first question.
No, it hasn't finished yet, no. But I said last week that Poldark is a bit of a loser.
You've gone off it now, haven't you?
Well, I haven't gone off it. It's still a great programme, but he is a bit of a loser, I have to say. And he's become more of a loser. He's every business venture he goes into, he just wrecks. Well, he didn't wreck. He's just not very successful.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to drag other people into his business ventures. There's a baddie guy in it who I think is a good guy because he's the winner. He's the guy who gets all the business things right. And
but he's not a very nice character.
Not a very nice character. And there's a particularly poignant moment in the episode just gone because Esmeralda, who is his wife, very beautiful woman with sort of ginger hair.
Yeah.
She used to be like a down-and-out sort of peasant, you know what I mean? But he rescued her from the gutter, literally, and has got her, given her a life, so to speak, And she suddenly finds out she's with child. That's what they used to call it in those days.
So he's the father?
Yeah, he's the father. Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely no doubt about it. But she, in order to help the family finances, because they are literally flat broke. I mean, they always are.
Yeah.
He's always flat broke.
Well, he's always giving his money away, isn't he?
Well, he hasn't got any money to give away anymore. He's had to sell all his cattle and everything, just to fund a new venture in a mine. But he keeps mining mines, which haven't got anything in them.
Well, that's because he likes to take his shirt off.
Well, maybe, but
I mean, the script.
I don't think he'll ever learn. The big, he keeps going into like holes in the ground, blowing them up, and not finding any copper. I'm not sure what his motive is.
Maybe he's been given false information.
Well, he has been given false information from somewhere. But anyway, he's broke. So Esmeralda, in order to help the family budget, takes a boat out in the sea and starts fishing.
All right.
She catches a load of fish. It's the old adage we were talking about before. Teach a man how to fish, and he can feed himself for life.
Yeah.
Give a man a fish, and he can only have one meal.
That's true.
So she goes out fishing. The only problem is she is heavily with child, and the baby starts coming.
Oh dear!
And
why did she go out fishing when she was about to give birth?
Well, because they
stupid.
They haven't got any food for tea.
Well,
so old Poldark, Aidan Turner.
Well, he should have gone out and got the fish, shouldn't he?
Well, he was galloping around the cliffs, wasn't he? Like he always does.
Or his body double was.
Yeah, that's right. His body double, and he'd been down a few mines where there was no copper.
Exhausted. Didn't find any food down there either.
Didn't find any food down there, so she had to go out in the
he's a bit of a plank, this guy, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of a plank. So anyway, he realises something's wrong. So he dashes into the sea, and rescues her from the boat,
Right.
and then the only mate he's got in the whole thing is a doctor.
Right.
And the doctor is he's not a very good doctor because all these weirdos are walking around with all these horrible faces, all filthy skin and all that. And he couldn't work out they all had scurvy. I worked it out before he did.
Well, maybe he didn't know what it was.
No, I did. I said he's got scurvy. They got scurvy. He said, a mystery disease.
Yeah.
And this mystery disease took him a whole episode to work out. I kept shouting at the screen.
Yeah.
Scurvy,
right.
limeys.
You idiot.
Give him an orange, give him a lemon, give him a lime.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Poldark.
Okay.
Next episode next week.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
That was Porkyvision.
That was it.
There'll be another one same time next week. Of course, tomorrow it is the Porky Quiz on Canada.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
The baby, you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Now, before you did Porkyvision, right, you sent out this ridiculous picture. Which is a picture of your pen, which you say you paid 90 quid for, which I'm not entirely sure is correct. And the pen I've been using, which is a bit of an old chewed-up biro in the office, right? Now, you've already made a gross error in your caption. You say, the pen on the left belongs to old MG. It doesn't belong to me, right? It is not my pen. It is a pen that I've been using during the show.
Yeah, but
I don't own it.
It's cheap and tacky.
Yeah, but it doesn't belong to me, right?
So you're even saying you couldn't care less about owning a pen, then?
Well, no, I own plenty of pens, but
you don't. You don't own any pens.
They're all at home.
Don't tell a lie.
Yeah, no, they're all at home.
You don't own any pens.
I own plenty of pens.
Well, why don't you ever bring one into work
because
then?
I don't walk around with pens on me.
So what do you do with these pens at home?
Well, they're sort of littered around the house.
Yeah,
in
keep them
various
in a
ways.
drawer. Yeah, that's right.
Some of them are on
yeah.
shelves. I
I
occasionally have to sign things, but not very often.
Yeah, you're a charlatan bum, you are.
A charlatan.
Yeah,
that's a bit harsh. You call it a trashy piece of chewed up plastic. Anyway, the verdict, I would say, from the people listening to this show is very much one-sided. Matt, for example, says this: Porky, this just helps illustrate that actually you are a giant snob.
No.
Hashtag man of the people, my derriere.
No.
Instead of the question which you pose at the end of your little caption, who is the professional?
That's right, yes.
Right? Paul Harrison said, how about who's the fool? Becky says, not paying £90 for a pen to stir my tea with. Cheap pens work fine.
Yeah.
And Dave says, more like who's the plank?
No.
Ha ha ha, £90 for a pen.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but it makes me feel more professional to have a proper pen in my hand.
It makes you feel better, doesn't it, about yourself?
Yes, it does.
That's why you do it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, what's wrong with that?
It's somehow a status symbol for you to have an expensive pen.
Hang on. Why do you claim you go out and buy expensive suits? To make yourself feel better within yourself,
no,
don't
I don't
you?
buy particularly expensive suits.
Well, you claim you do. You always claim it's very expensive suits, you know?
Well, compared to your stuff, yeah. But I mean, it's not... I don't buy, sort of, for example, £1,000 suits, no.
Incidentally, I hope you're going to wear something decent tomorrow night. Because,
well, I wear something decent all the time.
We have a professional photographer coming in tomorrow night to take some pictures.
Well, if I'm asked to wear something decent, I can always wear something decent. But I will wear a suit, probably.
Yes.
But I generally buy suits that cost about £500. Which I don't regard as ridiculously expensive.
I agree.
I mean, when I was in America, for example, I almost bought myself a couple of Armani suits until I realised that it was not the sale that I thought it was. I thought the sale price was something like $500.
Yes.
But the sale price was like $1,500.
Yes, exactly.
And it said you could buy 2 Armani suits for $3,000. And I wouldn't spend that kind of money.
Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Absolutely
but I mean, have you even
ridiculous.
got a suit? I haven't seen you in a suit for ages.
What do you mean?
Have you even got one?
I've got one. Of course I've got one.
Well, I haven't seen you in a suit for a long time.
I've got half a dozen suits, and they're all black.
Right,
I only wear black suits.
But you don't wear a suit when we do a live show. You mock me for wearing a suit when you come up dressed like a tramp.
No.
But you don't actually wear a suit for the live show, do you?
I go casual on the stage.
Right.
But you go formal because you think it makes you look better.
Well, I don't
go
formal. I just think I should wear a suit. Here's one for Brendan, who says, "Who's the plank for paying £90 for the cheap-looking pen on the right?" So he says yours doesn't even look like it's worth it.
What?
And here's one from somebody who's an Everton fan, calls himself Everton FC Park 95. £90 for a pen, what a waste of money. Surely it would be better spent on feeding the homeless.
No, I don't think it would be. I think the thing is, if you're contributing to the world, you contribute with a bit of style, it makes the whole world go round.
So people just think you're showing off, basically.
No, I'm not showing off at all. I'm not showing off at all. That's the sort of pen I like.
So once again, your attempt to belittle me for having a terrible pen has backfired horribly on you.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't backfired on me at all. Listen, the right-thinking people are usually the silent majority. And I can tell you...
people who say nothing.
I can tell you the silent majority are on my side.
Really?
Yes, I can tell you that for sure.
All right.
Okay?
Now, I hope you're going to spend the day researching and doing some homework on what is called the Canada quiz, which is coming up later.
Well, I don't need to, because I know a lot about Canada.
Oh, okay.
It's a country I visited many times when I was the North American correspondent for the Daily Express.
Oh, yeah?
So I know quite a bit about it. So I feel pretty confident there that things will work out very nicely.
Now, Paul says this, Mike Poldark's wife's name is Demelza.
Demelza, that's right, yeah.
That's not what you said, is it?
Yes, it was, yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, remember, it was in Cornwall, and everybody pronounces those sort of names in a different sort of way.
Well, you said Esmeralda, which is a different name altogether.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about. We all knew we were talking about. I mean, that's just splitting hairs.
Well, all right. You're just going to get the names right, is what I'm saying.
Now, listen, you live down there at Battle, okay? And in fact, where did the battle take place? Because, of course, it's the big anniversary, isn't it, coming up?
It is coming up in October, yeah. Well, the battle took place, supposedly...
Was it Pevensey Bay?
No, the battle took place in Battle. That's why it's called Battle.
Right, I thought you said that they'd found a new location for it.
Well, they have, but it's still in Battle.
Right, okay.
I mean, at the moment, for example, if you drive through the centre of Battle, there's a Battle monastery, which was supposedly built on the site of where King Harold was actually felled by the arrow. Right?
Yes.
And the battle was then supposed to have taken place on the hillside to the right of that point, right? But now they think the battle may have actually taken place. Why are you making a funny face at me?
Sorry, I'm going to tell you some facts about this in a minute.
All right. Yeah. To the left of the site instead. Right. And to the left of the site, bizarrely, happens to be closer to where I now live.
Oh, it's interesting. That's interesting. Now then, I've done some history on this, some research on this.
Really? Makes a change.
Well, we may do a quiz on it when it comes to the actual anniversary itself, okay?
All right.
Now, I just found out this great stuff. The bloke who started the Norman settlement in France, from which William the Conqueror emerged to conquer England, was a bloke, believe it or not, called Rollo. Rollo, yeah.
Okay. Well, R-O-L-O?
Yeah, that's right, Rollo. Okay. And he...
Well, he'd be French, wouldn't he?
No, he was a Viking.
Oh, was he?
He was a Viking. Okay. This is what I'm saying.
Right.
So the Vikings turned up in Normandy because, of course, they were always coming out of Scandinavia and raiding Europe.
Looking for trouble.
Looking for trouble. And he turns up. What happened here? Yeah, and they did a peace pact. Rollo did a peace pact with the French, the guy who was the Frankish king then, called
Frankish?
Yeah, the Frankish. He was known as, you won't believe this, it's no wonder Rollo got a deal out of him. He was the French king called Charles the Simple.
Yeah, well...
So Rollo does a deal with...
Well, there was supposed to be a big row, was there not, between William the Conqueror and his brothers or something, which is how he emerged.
I'm going to tell you what happened. So, anyway, Rollo and his Norsemen, who settled there in the area, now known as Normandy, they founded Normandy, and Rollo became the first duke.
Okay.
Now, the problem was Rollo couldn't come on the invasion because he was so big and gross and huge that they couldn't find a horse big enough
to carry him.
For him to ride upon. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, Rollo started the Normandy community. They're the guys who produced William the Conqueror. They invaded, right? And then 40 years after the Norman conquest, 1,000 castles had been built in England.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Did you?
Well, you can always tell the sort of Norman castle scenario as well because of the way that they looked.
Yes.
Because they were the first people that built castles in a kind of in a square form.
Yes.
And the same with the churches as well. You can always tell a Norman steeple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Within 20 years of the conquest, the entire English aristocracy had been stripped of all its land and wealth. How about that?
I know.
They've all been cast back.
They were amazing. Well, the Normans were incredible. And to answer your question about where, you said Pevensey Bay, where they landed was not far from Pevensey Bay.
Exactly.
It was a place called Norman's Bay, obviously. That's what they now call it.
Yes.
Because it was very flat.
Yes, very flat. I agree, yeah. So what happened was, for more than 300 years after the invasion, Norman French was the language of the south of England.
Yeah.
But particularly amongst the aristocracy.
Do you know when people talk about being, Anglo-Saxon, like you claim to be 100% Anglo-Saxon?
I am, yeah.
There's no such thing.
There is.
Because the Normans basically took over the country. They invaded it. They claimed it for their own. They built castles. They built communities. They settled themselves into the whole of the English countryside, basically.
Yep.
So there is no part of England which was not in some way affected by the Normans and their culture and their bloodlines.
Oh, the Normans wiped out the Anglo-Saxons.
That's what I'm saying.
So
you can't be living in this day and age without having some connection to the Normans.
I would say...
to talk about, particularly when you get into arguments about immigrants and all the rest of it, say, I'm 100% Anglo-Saxon, I've got nothing in me which is from the foreigners. Well, that's not true.
Well, I say that my antecedents go as far back as Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah, but the Anglo-Saxons were overtaken by the Normans. That's my point.
Well, you say that. I think there are a few stragglers
so what?
left.
You think there was some Parrys living in a cave that somehow escaped
Not
the Norman influence?
I think you'll find that many people will have spread to the north of England, as I was brought up in the north of England.
Well, the Normans got up there as well.
Well, yeah, but
there's
not
plenty
very
of
far.
Norman castles up in the north of England.
Not very far, honestly. Not very far. I don't think they got past Shrewsbury.
Are you sure?
Yeah, anyway, the other great fact I found from researching this in my journals, because, as I say, I'm preparing for the anniversary itself, which is what date, you say?
Well, it's the 15th of October.
15th of October, there you go. That's not far away, about 2 weeks and a bit.
Yeah.
When William landed, he was so confident of beating Harold that to taunt the enemy, he told his minstrel, the fool, whose name was Taillefer, right?
Taillefer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kill the first Saxon in the Battle of Hastings.
Right.
So Taillefer, who was only a midget, he was about like 3'6" or something, ran forward with a knife and killed the first English soldier
that you could see.
Yeah, and that started.
You could find.
That started the Battle of Hastings.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, I mean, that's
Not
what
amazing.
you say. That is not the actual official reenactment plan, because I've seen the reenactment before,
right?
And it didn't start with that at all.
Oh, really?
It started because in those days battles didn't happen like that. They lined up against each other and basically ran at each other. Or in the case of the Anglo-Saxons versus the Normans, they fired arrows at each other.
Well, I mean, the most famous battle involving arrows was Agincourt.
Well, it was. But what I'm saying is they didn't just sort of, randomly start a battle. They arranged where they were going to have the battle. They stood off each other until the time was to start the battle, then they started.
That would be the case if it was a land battle.
It was a land battle.
No, yeah, but when you're trying to stop an invading army of ships landing, you actually go down on the beach and try to cut them.
Yeah, but they didn't.
Dead as they.
Yeah, but they didn't do that
because you got to remember.
No, but they didn't do that.
They didn't land in ports. There weren't any ports for them to land in. They landed on beaches.
Yeah, but they landed on beaches and then took the battle to the Saxons who were coming. Don't forget, from the north in Stamford Bridge, because they weren't.
That's right.
They couldn't be on the beach because they were still coming from the north.
Yeah, well, a bit of that's true.
I know a lot about this because that's where I live.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mics. Do you know, that's good thinking, because I'm always constantly amazed at the number of little pubs, usually pretty crummy and decrepit, called the Station Inn.
Uh-huh.
But they're always
by a station.
That's right, yeah. No, always next to a railway station.
Yeah, well, there is that.
The Station Inn. The company had become the first major victim of